Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. David Snyder checking in with you after a long hiatus. Welcome to How to Reprogram Your Subconscious Mind for Health, Wealth, Success, Happiness, and oh, so much more. It's been a very eventful February. I'm excited for March and the rest of 2025. We've got some amazingly cool opportunities and things coming up with you. I'm sorry that I wasn't around quite so much live and in person during the month of February. I was most of you know that I've been on embarking on a pretty intense spiritual and energetic exploration and walk. And after 3 years of intense study, meditations, practices, you name it, I finally was ordained as a Buddhist Lama, and so I'm trained and certified to teach the mystical traditions of Buddhism and things of that nature. I am a multidisciplinary mystic, so by all means, file that however you want. But the last last month of that was very intense with trainings and teachings and really getting ready for the next phase of Planet David. So what we did instead was we gave you guys a bunch of pre-recorded webinars that we had done that people really enjoyed, to give you guys at least a steady dose of the good stuff that's coming from Planet David over the past. More good stuff in the future. As you guys know, I'm never done, so the good stuff is just going to keep rolling out. Be that as it may, tonight was all about one of the most important aspects of any walk, whether you're a spiritual person, whether you're into the law of attraction, whether you're looking for advanced human performance, whether it's improving your relationships, whether it's increasing your communication or getting over fears or traumas or phobias or whatever. Tonight is all about the one thing, the one place where all of that comes together. The one place that if you can learn to understand it, if you can learn to work with it and manage it and communicate with it effectively, you can write your ticket in this life. And I don't use those words lightly. Every now and then I sit back and I just kind of reflect on where I started and how I got here. And there was one truth that I'm going to share with you right up front, whether regardless of what level of consciousness you're operating from, this will go in and it will plant like a seed. And sometimes that seed will sprout immediately. Sometimes it'll take a little while, right? That's based on your walk and the choices you make. But I'm going to give you a couple of very powerful secrets with regards to the content of tonight's webinar. Everything we do, every form of endeavor, every form of accomplishment, everything that limits us, everything that moves us forward, everything that transforms us in some way begins and ends with your unconscious mind. It begins and ends with your ability to influence that part of you that takes all of the information that's floating out here in this vibrational soup we call the quantum universe and transforms it into something that you can relate to on a very personal level. Okay. I discovered this by accident. Well, I don't know if it was by accident. I don't think there are such things as accidents. The longer I'm doing this work and the longer I'm teaching these things, the more I discover that there are no accidents and there's no such thing as coincidence, right? There's just events that you have the consciousness to perceive as in a useful way or not. But all of these things that you're encountering are designed to send messages to you, to give you an understanding of what to go or where to do next. And depending on the level of consciousness that you embrace, that same data point can send you off into a sequence of blessings or a sequence of nightmares. It's the same data point. It's the consciousness that you wrap around it. And since we're talking about consciousness, I'm getting some prompts that there's no sound. Is that, are you guys in Zoom having problems, or is it just on my YouTube channel? So Tech says, Mary says, no, all good on Zoom. Okay, so there's something going on with our Zoomers that might be lag in the feed. You might also want to just maybe refresh your page and see if that clears it up. Okay, so what am I talking about? Very early on, and I'm gonna start the official Dr. David Dog and Pony show in a minute. But one of the things I discovered very early on, I was a career martial artist. That was the track that I had set myself on. I thought I was, you know, I grew up wanting to be an actor. Now I just play one on YouTube, right? And turns out I had a knack for teaching. But what I really loved, what really excited me, was martial arts. I just wanted to be better at martial arts, and I just did everything I could to get better at martial arts, right? That led me to the study of mental training, and not coincidentally to the study of hypnosis as well. But one of the other things it led me to was the study of an art that's pretty controversial, depending on who you talk to and you know, the level of skill that you're learning about it from. Was an art called Kyusho Jitsu. Now, Kyusho Jitsu is an Okinawan Japanese term, which means, it has two translations. It has 1 second fighting, or vital point self-defense, or vital point fighting. And whether you believe in pressure points and dim mak and death touch and all that other stuff or not, I took that out like a duck to water, and I just dove in, hook, line, and sinker, with pressure points this and acupuncture meridians. And so, you know, in my early 20s, I'm buying $300 and $400 acupuncture books and tracing nerves and trying to work them into my forms, and studying neurology and neuroscience and neuroanatomy and all of these things. And that was when different studies that I was engaged in started to come together, particularly martial arts and acupuncture and nerves and the mind and energy and the autonomic nervous system. And that's when I realized something, that when it didn't matter if I was studying hypnosis, it didn't matter if I was studying martial arts, it didn't matter if I was studying acupuncture points and meridians, it didn't matter if I was studying neurolinguistic programming. The one place that all of these disciplines met, the one thing that influenced all of them, was your autonomic nervous system. Now, your autonomic nervous system is another way of saying your unconscious mind, or your subconscious mind. Now, depending on which school of thought with the subconscious mind you subscribe to, you can think of the subconscious as this one gigantic mega mind, so that below the threshold of what you're consciously aware of. You can think of it as a subconscious and an unconscious and a conscious. You can think of it as your higher consciousness, your mammalian brain, and your reptile conscious. You can think of it any number of ways. So the bottom line is that there's a level to each of us that controls everything else. And if we can access that level, if we can, for lack of, to use a modern metaphor, if we have the username and password that allows us to log into that dashboard, we can change any program. We can influence any page, any experience, any expression or communication that we want, because everything that we experience happens first at the autonomic level. There is nothing that you can become aware of, nothing you can experience that doesn't have to pass through the senses and the filters of your autonomic nervous system. Even your consciousness, as you understand it, when you're embodied, has to come through that autonomic system. And if we can understand that, if we can master that, then we can master any aspect of our lives. Any discipline we want to master, any fear we want to overcome, any goal we want to achieve can be done if you understand how that autonomic part of you works. Does that make sense? Type in the chat if that makes sense to you guys. Okay, cool. All right. So first of all, now we're going to launch into the content of tonight. So by how many of you, by a show of hands, is this your first time checking in with Dr. David Snyder and Planet David. If this is your first time, type yes, your name and where you're checking in from in the chat. And I get people have questions. If the question is relevant to where we're at and it won't take away from the webinar, I'm happy to answer it. If not, I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can get those questions answered. I love questions, but I only have a limited amount of time to take you as far down the rabbit hole of how to reprogram your subconscious mind as humanly possible. Like one of my mentors, Lisa Sasevich, there's Mary from Fort Myers. There's Alex from Tijuana. We got Susan checking in from Arizona. Awesome. We got James checking in. Ryan, Richard, of course, Jose. We got Agnes and David out there in YouTube land, Spectrix and Lottie's checking in with us. That's awesome. That's good to see all you guys again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Christina checking in from San Diego. She's a neighbor. Yay, buddy. Go San Diego. CC's been following me for decades. Awesome. All right. So first of all, let me say thank you. For those of you who've been around for years, stay around because I'm going to put you to work. You new people, hold on to your butts because let me get my disclaimers out of the way. Hopefully I've talked long enough that the YouTube censors won't dox me or kick my ass offline for dropping the F-bomb or some other politically correct lingo. I've noticed that their censors have gotten really, really picky about what they're letting me promote. If I drop any kind of profanity or anything like that in their first parts of the video, they just can my video and you guys don't get to see it. So here's my disclaimer for those of you who are wandering into Planet David or coming across our content for the first time. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of your next 2 to 3 hours, right? And yes, I did say 2 to 3 hours. Our webinars tend to go long. They tend to be very heavy on content and interactiveness. And the reason for that is that we want you to come away from this webinar at least a little bit fed. In other words, we want you to come away with something from this webinar that you can actually put into action, put into practice today, that you can start transforming your life right away. My promise to you is this. Okay, of course, there's an offer connected to a webinar. There's an offer connected to every webinar. That offer is for you, not me, although I'm going to benefit, right? And here, let me explain this. If this is the scope of everything that there is to learn with regard to how to access, log into your autonomic nervous system, your subconscious mind, and change it to whatever you want. If this is the scope of everything there is to learn in tonight's webinar, I have time for less than this. It's just the way it is. Okay. So here's my commitment to you, especially today, because I'm back in the flesh and I just want to run off at the keyboard and run off at the monitors and stuff like that. I will take you as far down this rabbit hole as I can. I will give you as much information as I can in the time that we have. And then I will show you where to go to level up and keep the learning going and take your transformations and your skill sets further. Is that a fair trade? Are we good with that? If you're good with that, type yes in the chat. I'm ready for that. I'm good with that. Whatever. Oh, wait, we got somebody all the way from Egypt. Oh my God, that's awesome. I love that. Okay. Ivy says yes. Chris says, fuck no. Thanks for being so knowledgeable. Awesome. All right. So let me go ahead and you're going to find out really quick. If this is your first time with one of my webinars, you're going to find out I don't like PowerPoints very much. I think PowerPoints act as a wall and people go into trance by PowerPoint, which can be useful, right? But I think it's important to be able to just look me in the eye and stuff like that. So that's just kind of how I roll. I will bounce back and forth with the pressure with the PowerPoints. A couple of things also I want to get out of the way before I get into my bio. First of all, I mentioned thank you at the beginning of the webinar. Reason is because for the 8th or 9th year in a row, you guys voted me the #2 NLP trainer in the world, just under the great and powerful Richard Bandler, the founder of the discipline himself. And so I thank you all for your support. I thank you all for your love and your votes over the years. And let's just keep the magic rolling. So I just wanted to put that out there and say thank you for that. Next thing I want to talk about is, well, is this the right place for you? How many of you would like to be more confident? Anybody? Just type that's me in the chat if this is true for you. How many people would like to be more confident? Would like to make more money, be more attractive, increase your test results? Type in the chat what you want to take away from from tonight's webinar, right? All right. Cool. Excellent. So if you answered yes to any of the things I just said, or some stuff that's even, how many people just want to be, how many, let me give you your first jewel for it. So Rocco wants to quit vaping. You got it, brother. I'll show you how to do that. Mary says, courage to change the world. Excellent. Mary, let me tell you something about the courage to change the world. The courage to change the world starts with the courage to change you first. Here's the first rule. If you want to change the world around you, you have to start with the world in you. Let me say that 2 more times. If you want to change the world outside of yourself, it has to start by changing the world inside of yourself. You are no good to the world afraid. You are no good to the world disempowered. You are no good to the world sick. You are no good to the world broke. You are no good to the world not being an example of what's possible for yourself. Does that make sense? So my first and most important goal is, as much as I want to help the world, is to help you. Because if I can help you and you can help yourself, then you can share that with everybody else. So there's a lot of ideologies out there that will tell you that you have to give to others first, right? That you have to give and give and give and give. And that usually leaves you with nothing but maybe an idea that you might get into heaven later, right? I've never espoused that philosophy. I don't judge people who work from that philosophy. My life experience has shown me that when you are empowered, when you have a life of abundance, when you have a life of love and charity and compassion and kindness, and you operate from that place of fullness, you have more to share, you have more to give, you're willing to do more for others. Okay? It's just been my life experience. And if I'm nothing else, I'm a pragmatist, and I want to help you live your best life. And so I want to give you that idea. I want you to make yourself powerful and wealthy, and you're on your fast track to your best life for you first, and then everybody else. Okay, that may not sit well with some people, but this is how I roll, right? Okay, so who exactly is Dr. David, and why should you care? First and foremost, I am in fact a doctor of Oriental medicine. I graduated from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine with my doctorate in Oriental Medicine in 2019, I believe it was. I graduated with my master's degree and my license in acupuncture in 2005. I've been a practicing therapist in one form or another since 2005, where my specialty has been treating physiological illness that is caused by repressed emotion. While some neurolinguistic programmers and hypnotists, even acupuncturists to a certain degree, deal with a lot of habit control, some fears, some phobias, a little bit of social anxiety. I started off almost working exclusively from medical referrals, and I started with chronic pain and rapidly evolved my practice into dealing with physiological illness that is caused by repressed emotions, which, by the way, is about 9 out of 10 or more illnesses that would go into a doctor's waiting room. They're usually memory-based and emotional-based. And when you can unpack those emotions and release them from the body, miraculous healings take place, right? And so that gave me tremendous insight into how people manifest disease, because all disease is really a form of manifestation, just like all healing is a form of manifestation, right? Human beings are manifestation machines. We are designed for this. The problem is nobody gave us the instruction manual. Right? So tonight, I'm going to give you a few pages from the instruction manual so you can start recalibrating that puppy and getting your autonomic nervous system and your subconscious mind on the fast track to getting you over your fears and your phobias and your limiting beliefs and your self-sabotage and all the crap that you've accepted as true and never tested it, right? All the stuff you inherited from your parents or from your loved ones or from well-meaning authority figures. We're going to show you step by step some very simple, powerful, and effective techniques for transforming and resolving that stuff from your mind and body forever. Okay. We call these techniques the transformational triad. And the reason I teach these is because they pretty much work for everybody. And that's another big claim. But again, you don't have to believe anything I'm about to tell you. That's the beauty of tonight's webinars. Tonight is all about doing the drills and getting the skills. You don't have to believe a single thing that comes out of my mouth. All you have to do is have an open-minded, playful, fun-loving attitude, do the drill, have the experience, and decide for yourself if there's any validity to it. That's the beauty of what I've spent a lot of time in Planet David refining and researching these techniques to the point where they're almost purely mechanics, where you don't have to believe it. All you got to do is want it and follow the instructions. Can we do that? Can I get a commitment from you guys that tonight it's okay to not believe something, but you're willing to have a fun, playful, curious, easygoing attitude and just do the drill? Would that be fair? Perfect. If you can do that, ladies and gentlemen, here's another big claim. You can make any change you want. The only variable is time. Okay? The only variable is time. So my clinic work has always been in healing, but I didn't start there. I didn't want to be a healer. As I told you at the beginning of the webinar today, all I wanted to do was get better at martial arts. All I wanted, if you'd have told me 40 years ago that 30 years later, 20 years later, I'd be in a room 8-9 hours a day shoveling other people's emotional and physical shit, I kind of would have laughed at you, right? Because that was simply not on my radar. But what's interesting about getting on your life mission, your life path, when you follow the things that feed your heart and your soul and your spirit, and you start to accomplish those things, as you accomplish those things, the next path on the horizon and things on the periphery start to come into view. And you start to find things that you're being drawn to, or that are being drawn into your life that you never would have expected for yourself, right? And that's what's beautiful about this, is as you actually pursue the things that feed your soul, that feed your spirit, that give you the best experience of your life, you're going to bring more and more joy and beauty and power into the world. And other things are going to come into your path, because your autonomic nervous system is what steers your awareness, right? I have a training coming up in July. It's called Hypnotic Laws of Attraction, and it's a variation of our Identity by Design training. And the entire 3-day training is nothing but programming your autonomic nervous system and your subconscious mind on how to be lucky, like how to just be the embodiment of good fortune, blessings, serendipity, and synchronicity. I spent about 30 years, well, maybe not quite 30, 20 some years, finding the pieces for putting this together. And I've been testing the last couple of pieces, and it's just been blowing my mind. So there's this, but it all goes back to the same topic of tonight, which is your autonomic nervous system. How does your autonomic nervous system take vibrational information, that basically all we are is vibrations, and transform it into things we call reality? And why does it screen certain things out of your awareness and draw your attention to others, right? If you've been around the law of attraction or manifestation world for any length of time, you've heard of something called the reticular activating, or as Chase likes to correct us, the reticular formation system, right? You've heard Dr. John Assaraf talk about it. You've heard all the law of attraction people talk about it, that there's this mechanism inside of you that orients you and draws certain things into your attention. If you've heard me talk in the past about Dr. Paul Ekman's work and the emotional refractory period, and we've talked about how if you spend all your time researching how to, if you're going to, let's say for example, you're going to go buy a car, right? You decide you want a car, and you do all the research, and you finally find the perfect car, and you research this car lot and this car lot and this car lot, and you do all the reviews online, and you finally find the car you want, and you go to the dealership, right? And you buy the car, and you sign the papers, and you're driving it home. You look out the window and you're like, what? You look in the rearview mirror and you're like, huh? And everywhere you look is that same car you're driving. Everybody's driving the same car on the same day. Anybody ever had that experience where all of a sudden, like, you ever play that game Punch Buggy, where you're just slapping the guy every time, you slapping your buddy every time you see a Volkswagen Beetle, right? And then when you're done playing the game for the next 10, 15, 20 minutes afterwards, you see Volkswagen Beetles everywhere. Anybody? Right? What happened there? What's going on? That's the action of your reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain that controls what you pay attention to and what you don't. Now, a lot of what goes into that reticular formation or reticular activating system are kinesthetic sensations that are operating and running below the threshold of your subconscious mind. So if you have movies, memories, traumas below the threshold of conscious awareness, which are always on an endless loop and always running, it's sending little tiny pulses to that reticular activating system, and that forms a self-image and a sense of self-worth and deservingness. And because of the body sensations that your nervous system is generating below the threshold of what you're consciously aware of, that reticular activating system is pinging for anything that reinforces or is in harmony with those unconscious thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Okay, I'm speaking really fast and I'm speaking a lot, but is it landing? Are you guys following where I'm going with this? Yes, no? Okay. Questions about it? Okay. So let me finish the little brief intro. So that's my healing background. That's my understanding of healing and how I came to be a healer. But I've authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence. In fact, I bill myself as a specialist in strategic human influence technologies, right? Codename SHIT, S-H-I-T, strategic human influence technologies, right? And so everything from hypnotic languaging to body language to vibrational influence. Mary's asking, the reticular activating system is always kinesthetic. It's most deeply impacted by kinesthetics and then secondarily by visuals, because your visuals will trigger a body feeling and that will trigger the change in the reticular activating system. Okay. So at the end of the day, auditory really doesn't help you as nearly as much as understanding your visual systems and your kinesthetic systems. Okay. One of my colleagues and good friends, Chase Hughes, likes to say, if you had a choice, if in terms of trusting yourself, right? Which part would you place more trust in? The part of you that has remembered to keep your heart beating and your lungs breathing for your entire life, or the part of you that can't remember where you lost your car keys 30 seconds ago? Which would you trust? Right? If you're ready to trust the part that never forgot your heart beating, then you're in the right place. Okay. But here's the thing, and here's one of the most important things. I'm going to share a lot of stuff with you, and that's why I recommend you watch this webinar multiple times, because I'm going to drop some serious bombs, right? And every time you watch the replay, you're going to pick up something new. But here's the first thing you need to understand: your autonomic nervous system, the deep, powerful, other than conscious part of you, not the part that thinks in words, the part that thinks in sensations, visuals, kinesthetics, auditory tones and tempos and volumes and things of that nature. Those are not words. That autonomic part of you does not speak English. It doesn't speak Egyptian. It doesn't speak French. It doesn't speak any human spoken language as we understand it. It speaks and communicates in the language of sensation. Let me say that a couple more times in case you're taking notes. Your autonomic nervous system communicates to you in the language of sensation. Visuals, auditories, kinesthetics, olfactories, gustatories, right? So if those don't know what olfactory means smell, gustatory means taste. Okay. When we can, now, in those 5 primary channels of communication, think of them like the vowels or the syllables of the autonomic communications that we have. All of that happens before you become conscious of anything. Okay. Are you guys with me so far? There's some conversations about Jesus in the chat that are kind of distracting me, because I just finished a class in Buddhist and Christian mysticism. I'm working on my ordination in that in about 2.5, in about a year and a half or so. So, and I actually did a video not too recently about some of the things that about how Jesus healed and stuff. So it's a little distracting for me. So I apologize. All right. So first thing we need to do is understand that there is a communication gap. Your conscious mind, the part of you that is talking to itself right now, you know, that voice in your head that just said what voice, right? That's your conscious mind. It's replaying and running a running commentary on everything that you experience. But if you think of communication and will we process experience as levels, you have the deep, you have an external experience. Then you have a subjective reproduction of that, which is like this big 8K video, right? And then you have thoughts about that, and that's shrunk down into like a 4K video, and then a 3K video, and a 2K video, until finally what comes out as dialogue is a little, 2 megabyte file, and it has this massive data set down here, right? And so if we understand this, we want to get down here. We want to get down into this very, very deep information dense place and still be able to navigate it. How do we do that? By understanding a few basic things. Okay. When your autonomic nervous system is creating a communication and sending it up to the part of you that talks, there's certain characteristics that it has. There are certain things that it does that will let you know that information is coming from the place you need to access. You see, one of the problems with your conscious mind, part of you that's constantly running that dialogue, is and that's the problem. It's creating a narrative. The unconscious mind spits up a piece of information and a body feeling. Your conscious mind takes that piece of information and writes a whole story around it and acts upon that story as if it's true, even though more often than not, it's made up. It actually has very little to do with the real problem, what your unconscious mind is really trying to communicate with you. And if you don't understand how to tell the difference between an other than conscious communication, a communication or information that comes from your deep autonomic nervous system versus what story your conscious mind is spinning, you're going to wind up running west looking for a sunrise, and you're never going to get change. That's why a lot of psychotherapeutic talk intervention styles of change take a very, very long time, if they ever result in change at all. Because the premise there is that if I understand rationally why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I understand rationally why I shouldn't do that, that somehow, some way, I'll just stop doing it. Well, it doesn't actually work that way in most applications, at least not long term. The reason for that, and a lot of support, the reason for that is because it's an irrational problem. Irrational problems require irrational solutions, right? So we don't even we don't even worry about what the conscious mind wants us to believe. What we do is we go right into that deep level programming system and we just start changing the code. But we have to know what's good code from junk code. If you listen to your conscious mind, that dialogue-y part of you, you're going to get junk code. If you listen to the autonomic part of you and you know what to look for, what to pay attention to, you can separate the code that actually gets you change, that gives you a very direct path towards the change you want to make. And once you understand that, change becomes very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Okay. So here's the first thing I already started giving you some important fundamentals. And our webinars, by the way, are designed in three phases. Your first phase is what we call foundations phase. This is where I give you all the fundamental information that you need, the primary experiences that you need, and sets the foundation for what we're going to do in part 3 of the webinar, which is the applications phase. This is where we customize the content of tonight's webinar to exactly the results or the outcomes you guys as a group want to achieve. Some of you want to get over fears. Some of you want to get over limiting beliefs. Some of you want to clear trauma. Some of you want to manifest something positive in the future. That happens in phase 3 of the webinar. So phase 1 is foundations. Phase 2 is transformation. In other words, we show you the path of transformation, how to go from the information in this webinar to get access to the complete system. And then we come back to part 3 and we continue teaching from part 1 and we put it all together for you. Okay. So the first thing is understanding that there is a distinct difference between a conscious communication and an unconscious or other than conscious communication. Can we agree on that? Type yes in the chat if you're with me. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you one of the most important principles. It goes right to your reticular activating system and every other form of human behavior and endeavor. And here it is. There's a lot in these couple sentences. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Let me repeat that 2 more times. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Last time, write it down. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Why is this important? If you study NLP, if you study behavioral sciences, if you study any form of Ericksonian hypnosis, you'll hear this idea of meta programs or filters. coming up over and over and over again. And one of the biggest filters or meta filters or programs that we have is towards and away from. Towards and away from. Human beings move towards the things that make them feel good and away from the things that make them feel bad. Okay? All of your behavior, all of your body language, all of your eye accessing cues, whatever it is you want to run, you can distill everything down to a towards and away from duality, right? Now, and everybody is towards and away from. The difference is, or the question becomes, which one do they do first? Are they moving away from something towards something else? Or are they moving towards something and away from something else, right? When we look at the sequence of something that the sequence that something happens in your nervous system is what we have to pay attention to. And that brings me back to this. How do we tell the difference between an unconscious communication and a conscious communication? And one of the things that we have to pay attention to is, I'm going to use a big word here. That the word is called syntax, S-Y-N-T-A-X, syntax. Now, unless I'm mistaken, and I reserve the right to be wrong sometimes, syntax is a word that's used in programming a lot to imply the order and sequence in which something is done. Okay. Syntax is part of your autonomic language code. Let me say that again. Syntax, the order that something comes out, the order that something happens, is part of the language of your unconscious mind. It's one of the things that only very, very well-trained people know to pay attention to. When you start doing your work, and there's three categories of human who are going to watch this webinar. There are people here who want help fixing their own stuff. That's the vast majority of you. There's people who want my help fixing your stuff. That's okay too. We have pathways for that. And then three, there's people who want to fix other people's stuff. How many of you are coaches or healers or therapists or mentors or hypnotherapists or whatever, who want to be better healers, better coaches, whatever? You're the people who want to go out and fix other people's stuff, right? The order and sequence that something comes out of a person's mouth, the order and sequence that somebody puts in their communication is actually a very important aspect of the unconscious's communication. All right. Are you guys with me so far? I know I'm talking fast. Okay. So for example, if I say, if I have a client and I say, all right, well, tell me what it was like when you were a kid. Tell me how you grew up. I say, well, my dad left when I was 3. So I talk about my mom because most of my stuff is with my mom. Right. What would we pay attention to? Well, obviously the person has a lot more experience with mom, right? Exactly. It's just a little throwaway thing, but it came out first. Guess where you'll probably wind up unpacking and working with? Right? Now, is it really that obvious? When you know what to listen for, when you know how to see through different eyes, yes. Yes, it is. I don't want to say the word stupidly. It is ridiculously easy once you have eyes to see and ears to hear. But it's also very empowering because once you can see through that lens, then patterns start to emerge everywhere. And you can start to make very powerful, rapid progress in your transformation. So let's talk about this. And I had to bring this idea of syntax up first because it's part of that autonomic language. And it's something that you, as somebody who's on this path of transformation, needs to pay attention to. Okay? Nothing is random. Nothing is meaningless. Right? And usually the things that are deepest will come out first. And then they'll consciously emphasize something else. But whatever came out first, that's where the gold is. So I'm gonna go to not my PowerPoint, but my OneNote really quick here. Hold on a second. I gotta enlarge my picture. There we go. I apologize. So I'm going to let you, I'm going to go to PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, but OneNote. And I'm going to put this on the screen for you guys. And we're going to talk about this really, really quickly. Because if we want to talk to the part of ourselves that's in charge of everything, this is the key that we need to apply. All right. Can you all see this? Oops. So the unconscious mind always answers first, right? The unconscious mind answers first, usually non-verbally. Usually non-verbally, okay? So when you start to dialogue with yourself, or when you start to dialogue with a client, you gotta watch. What do they do with their eyes? What do they do with their face? What do they do with their gestures? What does their body angulation look like in the first half a second to a second as they're processing your question or thinking about your answer? And then pay attention to what comes out of their mouth first, okay? We're going to do some processes together very, very shortly. One of the first things you need to understand is whatever comes up first is always right, even if it doesn't feel that way. Your conscious mind, that part of you that's always running the narrative, that's always running the dialogue, is always trying to evaluate the information and create a story around it and tell you what it thinks. We don't care about what your conscious mind thinks. What we care about is what your other than conscious mind, your autonomic nervous system, has accepted as true. And that brings us into these other five characteristics. Your unconscious mind is always going to answer first, usually non-verbally. It's always going to answer you honestly. What I mean by that is your unconscious mind does not care about what's true factually. It does not care about what really happened based on what the video camera or the people using their iPhone to record the experience show. Your unconscious mind, your autonomic nervous system, cares about what it has accepted as the truth. Right or wrong, real or imagined, it's going to answer you with its truth. And it's going to answer you honestly because it doesn't know anything else. You are not the way you are because of the stuff that happened to you. Write that. I'm going to say this 2 more times. Write this down. You are not the way you are because of the things that happened to you. You are not the way you are because of the things that happened to you. You are the way you are because of the way your unconscious mind recorded the things that happened to you and the way you have been relating to those recordings. I'm going to say that 2 more times. You are the way you are because of the way your other than conscious mind recorded those events and the way you've been relating to those recordings. Susan says, my subconscious mind is jacked up. No. Your subconscious mind loves you. Your subconscious mind is doing everything it can to keep you alive and keep you safe. It's just doing it in a way that you don't understand. That does not make sense from the conscious mind's perspective. Here's a mic drop moment for you guys. Your other than conscious mind absolutely 100% unconditionally loves you. It absolutely loves you. And everything it does, it's doing because it believes it's helping you. The problem is we don't understand how it communicates, why it's communicating what it's communicating, and what to do with it. So our conscious mind creates a story, creates a narrative to justify acting on the body feelings that are welling up from deep inside of us. Okay? This is important, guys. You're not broken. None of you are broken. It's just you've been at odds with your unconscious mind who's trying to do things in the way it thinks is best, but it doesn't have the perspective of the conscious mind. And the more powerfully you can clear the communication channels between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind, the more those systems will harmonize, synchronize, and all of a sudden you will be a manifesting monster. Okay, but with that comes responsibilities. Okay, so let's go through this really quick. Your unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. Guess what? It's always going to feel like you're making it up. Don't believe me? Take my word for it. If I had $1 for every client that sat in my chair before I started teaching them this right up front and says, I think I'm just making that up. I think that's just to pretend. No, that's how you know it's right. If it feels made up, you know it's right. Okay. Why? Because the part of you that controls your heartbeat, the part of you that controls your blood pressure, the part of you that controls your hormonal and neurotransmitter balances, the part of you that makes you fall in love, the part of you that makes you afraid, is also the part that makes things up. And that, my friends, is one of the biggest sources of power that you have. The power of your imagination. If you can truly understand what that is and how it works and how to use it effectively, you can make any change you want. And I don't want you to believe me. We're going to do it. We're going to make some changes on this webinar tonight, and you can decide if you want to go further down that rabbit hole or not. Okay. If it works for you, keep it, follow it. If it doesn't work, find something that does. Okay. Now, unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. It's never loud and it's never linear. Here's what I mean. Anybody here ever been to a hypnotist or been a hypnotist? All right. So has this ever happened to you? Maybe you're in the chair or you're going through a process, right? And your client asks, tell me about the first scene, situation, or event that is the source, the beginning, the root cause of XYZ problem. And something pops into your head and there's another part of your brain that instantly goes, oh, that can't be right. Or that's it? That's the problem? You ever have those moments? For those of you who've never been in a hypnotist chair, how many of you have been driving down the road on a beautiful sunny day? And the music, the sun is in the sky, not a cloud in my eye, the radio's blaring, you're having a great old time. Right? And all of a sudden, a shitty memory from when you were 6 pops out of nowhere. Now, let me ask you something. Do you immediately pull off to the side of the road, slam the car in park, put the parking brake on, turn the car off, turn the radio off, and go into a deep level of altered state work and try and ferry that shit out? No. If you're like most people, you turn the radio up louder, step on the accelerator, and do your best to think happier thoughts. Right? What happened? A thought came up from your deep unconscious. Your conscious mind said, oh, hell no. Boom. That's not right. Decided to edit it, push it back down, and now you're back to being stuck. Okay? You have to understand that every time your unconscious mind sends information up, your conscious mind says, oh, that can't be right. That's not the real reason. That's why you have to pay attention to syntax, the order that something comes up. Your unconscious mind always tells you the truth, but your conscious mind always wants to edit the information. If I were teaching you remote influencing or remote viewing, we would call that urge to edit an analytical overlay. It's where a piece of information comes through the autonomic nervous system and we assign an arbitrary meaning to it that may have absolutely nothing to do with the real reason that information is there. You need to understand this. Okay? Because the moment you have the urge to edit something, you know it's right. You understand what I'm saying? Your unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what came up. It's never loud. It's never linear. The moment it comes up first, you know it's true and it's important. The moment you have an urge to edit it, you know it's right. Don't edit it. Take it at face value. Follow that line deeper into the unconscious. You guys with me so far? Yes, this means yes. This means no. Type it in the chat. Okay. Now, why do I give you this? Because a lot of you will never be in my class. I would love all of you to show up for my classes. Don't get me wrong. But most of you, our relationship will never be more than this. And I get that. but every single one of you on this webinar tonight is a soul on a journey of self-transformation. You're on a voyage to become a better version of yourself, to overcome your traumas and your sabotaging beliefs and the physical or emotional barriers that are holding you back. And the key to overcoming all of that is in your autonomic nervous system, not your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is just what gives you a running story of things. Now, don't get me wrong. Your conscious mind serves a very important function. The problem is, it's like the 2-year-old that tries to take over everybody else's function and things get screwed up. Okay. Richard, I probably won't send flowers. Anyway. But my point is that you want to work on you. Now, if you come to training, I'll give you the full systems, right? That's fine. But if you're going to do the work on yourself, if all you get from tonight is from the YouTube channel is the transformational triad, color breathing, magic frame, energy spinning, right? And you have these 6 dynamics, you can put a dent in pretty much everything, if not completely eliminate it. And I'm talking about heavy duty stuff. I've had people have 50% tumor shrinkage from one 5-minute spinning session, right? I've had people do spinning on their horse and it actually worked, right? I've had literally after a 10-minute color breathing session, I've had people who had 9 years of neuropathy. The feeling comes back into their legs. Right? I have the videos, right? I can't show them because of HIPAA, but if there's people out here, that's why I love my veterans, because a lot of these people have been through this, right? You don't got to believe it, but there is a system to doing this. And if you have the system, everything is possible for you. It's just the only variable is time and resources. Okay. So your unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. It's never loud and it's never linear. So TI is asking, is subconscious mind a synonym for the autonomic nervous system? Yes. To oversimplify things, yes. As far as I'm concerned, every aspect of you that is outside of conscious awareness is a part of your autonomic system. But your conscious mind is too. It's just the part of your system that we're aware of, right? It's the part of you that consciously pays attention. All right, let me ask you this. How many of you have ever been at a party? Just type me in the chat. How many of you have ever been at a party? Right? Lots of people, lots of noise, right? Now, Richard, you have to have been invited to the party, not crashing it. Okay. Right. So you've been at a party, lots of people everywhere, right? You're off in a corner talking to somebody, and somebody from all the way on the other side of the room says your name. And it's like somebody reached out and went, and like, and all of a sudden your whole attention is drawn to the person who just said your name. How does that work? You're completely engrossed in a conversation with somebody else. Somebody mentions your name from across a noisy room and you hear it. It's because the level of awareness that your system has is on 2 basic levels, conscious and other than conscious. There's a little barrier between what you can consciously pay attention to and what your nervous system is paying attention to. Your nervous system, one of its primary jobs, its primary directives, your autonomic and subconscious minds, one of its primary goals is to keep you safe and keep you alive. And it's maniacally self-centered, for lack of a better word, right? Your nervous system is narcissistic to the extreme. It only cares about itself, right? So, because it wants you to survive and reproduce and move on. So it's always paying attention to everything that's going on around you, right? And every now and then, something will happen outside of the level of your conscious mind's awareness, but your unconscious mind is aware of it, and a little bubble will pop up through that little wall that separates what you're consciously aware of from what you're unconsciously aware of. And all of a sudden, you'll feel it like a pressure, or you'll hear it, and you'll turn and you'll orient on it. We call that an OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. Okay. So remember that the awareness of your system is far greater than what you're conscious of. And it's the study of all these things that happen below the threshold of conscious awareness and how we can use and influence that is the study that I've devoted my life to, human influence technologies. Okay. But we need to understand that when we start to communicate with the system, my job as your teacher, my first job is to teach you these principles and to help you become progressively more aware. That's my first job. Without awareness, there is no choice. You might want to write that down. Without awareness, there is no choice. Anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. I'm going to say that 2 more times. Anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. You with me so far? Corollary to that, just because something is outside of your awareness consciously does not mean it isn't controlling you. So my job as your teacher, your guide, your mentor, your friend, whatever word you want to put to it, is to help you become progressively more aware. Because with awareness, you now have choice. And I'm pretty sure most of you came here to get more choice in your world. Would that be true? Did anybody come here to have less control over their life? How many people here came here to get more control, to take the randomness out? Type it in the chat so I know you're with me. If you had that power, if you had that ability, what would you do with it? What would you change? What would be the first thing that you'd change? Type it in the chat. What would be the first thing that you change? Me. Let's be more specific. What aspect of your life would you want changed? Shyness, okay. Remove irrational fears, perfect. Kill procrastination, more routine, lower stress, greater peace. I like it. I like it. All on the to-do list. All on the to-do list. Let's see. No holding back, self-image, not being affected by abandonment wounds. Awesome. I had those. My quality of life, my self-trust. Very nice. Triggers to use and drug. Okay. Being bold in business. All right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out a piece of paper right now. When you take out a piece of paper. Now, if you're driving, maybe not do this. Right? But if it is safe for you to do this drill, right? What I want you to do is just write down, take the thing that you put in the chat that you shared, right? Write that on the top of the page. In fact, let me do this with you. Let me just jump into my PowerPoint really quick. Let me share real quick. By the way, just to curb my insecurities, has this been helpful? Has this been useful for you guys so far? Cool. All right. So let me go to this. I'm just going to make sure I have room. So this is your emotional motivation checklist. So I want you to take whatever it was you shared with me in the chat. Okay. Write that on your piece of paper. And then underneath that, I want you to write a question. What's important about that? And I want you to write the answer. Okay. When you've done that, type done in the chat. All right. All right. For those of you who want to make more money in sales and marketing and get more clients, I'm giving you the formula for doing this anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, but we're applying it to ourselves first. So once you've written your answer, I want you to take that answer and I want you to write underneath that this question: what is important about that? And answer the question. So in other words, you wrote here what you wanted to change. You wrote what's important about it. And then you take this answer and you ask the same question about what you wrote. So what we're doing here is we're drilling down. Type done in the chat when you're done. And answer the question. Okay. So you should have, and then type done when you're done. So you should have three answers. You should have what it is you want to change, what's important about that, and if you were to get that part, what's important about that, what that's going to do for you. You don't have to share it in the chat. This is where it gets personal and private, and this can be done for somebody, okay? And ultimately, if you had the first one and the second one and the third one, what's important about that? What would that give you? When you've got all three answers, type done. Okay, very good. All right, now, this is the trance part of our training, okay? Let me ask you a question. Beginning of today's webinar, I said I would take you as far as I can and show you where to go to level everything up, to get full access and to the keys to everything you want. Is that still true for you? Do you still want those things? Can I still show you how to do that? Okay. So here's the next piece. I want you to close your eyes. Actually, no, let's do that. There's two stages to this. We're gonna do this a little differently than I normally do it. This is something I started changing in my healing intensives. So I want you to stand up. I'm gonna jump out of my PowerPoint for a minute. And I'll use this piece of paper. So I've got my list, right? I'm gonna hold it up. I'm gonna read what I want to change, what's important about that, what's important about that, what's important about that. I want you to read it, scan your body, check in with your body, notice how you feel. Okay? Now hold this up, and I want you to read the answers to your first question out loud. Each what's important about that you answered, I want you to read it out loud to yourself 5 times. Read it out loud to yourself 5 times. When you've done that, type done in the chat. Good, Susan's done. Anybody else? Some of you are faster than this. All right, good. Christina's done. Very good. Richard says done. Perfect. All right. Here's where the trance comes in. Right. So if you are driving an automobile, if you're operating machinery, if you're doing anything that requires your full and undivided attention, do not do this next piece. Okay. I want you to be safe. I take no responsibility for any mishaps that occur if you're engaging in a trance process while operating machinery or equipment or anything like that. Okay. Do this at your own risk. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to ask you a question. As you look at the answers on the sheet that you've just said out loud, what happened to your body? What happened in your body when you started reading those things out loud? What'd you notice? Type it in chat. Richard says he got an energy charge. Yes. That's why we call it the emotional motivation checklist. You see, your brain has belief systems. You have beliefs that move you forward and beliefs that hold you back. One of the things we can do is we can spend a lot of time trying to get over our limiting beliefs, or we can tap into the beliefs we have that activate and move us forward without having to worry about the limiting beliefs. And we'll talk about more of that in the sessions to come. Christina says feeling calm. Shari says relaxed. Susan says felt nothing. Okay, we need to work on that, Susan. Rocco says tension. Agnes felt good. Lioness says tightness in your throat. Now, if you felt nothing, or you had a good feeling, and maybe in the background there was this icky, naggy, just feeling. You guys know what I'm talking about? How many of you noticed that there was a good feeling, and then maybe in the background there was like this little icky, maybe not feeling that you're trying to ignore? Notice what I said? You're trying to ignore. Okay, congratulations. You just found out one of the big secrets that the self-help movement didn't teach you. And that is this: you have two kinds of beliefs: beliefs you know about and beliefs you don't. And the only time you find a belief you don't know about is when it's provoked. In order to fix it, you got to provoke it. Right? Now, there's two ways you can do that. You can go for the things you want in life, and when the belief comes up, you deal with it then. Or you put yourself in situations where you can provoke it preemptively and get rid of it before it becomes a problem for you later in life. That's what this does. Okay? When we tap into the value system that you have, those are the beliefs about what is good and right and desirable and true in the world. So you have beliefs that is your best self, and you have beliefs that keep you from having it. Now, the beliefs we provoke, the beliefs that keep us, that hold us back, they're almost never in the front. They're almost always in the background, like a whim or a notion in the back of your mind or deep inside your body. It has a far off quality to it. How many of you noticed that? True or not true? Richard says true. Matthew says true. Okay. True, right? All right. Now, here's the bombshell. Those feelings that are in the background or that have that far off quality, they're the stronger belief. They're the stronger belief. The reason they feel weak, like they're no big deal, like they're just a whim or a notion in the back of your mind, is not because they're weak. It's because they're deep. They're deep in the circuitry and the channels of the autonomic nervous system. And they're just being stored there until something in the external environment provokes them so that you can process them. That's one of the big pieces that, again, people got wrong or people left out or people didn't understand. Remember when I was talking about you driving down that road, having a great day, and all of a sudden a crappy memory from when you were 6 pops up? That's normal. That's normal. You see, one of the jobs of your unconscious mind is to hold things in storage until you can go back in and process them. But we have a culture that doesn't teach us that. We have a culture that teaches us to ignore, to deny, to repress. We got better things to do. We got more important things to do. So we just keep stuffing this stuff anywhere we can put it. But the more things we stuff, the more energy we lock down in the system, until finally, when you hit your 35, 40s, 50s, all of a sudden your system can't contain that shit anymore. And we wind up in my chair with IBS, chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr, any form of autoimmune you can think of, cancers. Why? Because of the repression and the denial that you haven't been dealing with. When you're moving through the world and your unconscious mind spits something up, it's saying, hey, remember this? We can fix it. You want to fix this yet or not? But we stuff it down because we don't understand, because the conscious mind is giving a narrative about, we'll deal with that later. We got to focus on this right now. Are you guys with me so far? But the dynamics of the unconscious mind don't change. It came up first. It came up honestly. It felt like you were making it up. You had an urge to immediately edit what just came up. It wasn't loud, and it didn't make any linear sense. Okay? Because your unconscious mind doesn't group things in linear time. Your unconscious mind groups things by what they have in common. What they have in common. That's how it's not linear. Okay? And again, for those of you who are therapists, you've probably encountered this where you go after A and all of a sudden B, C, D, and E show up out of nowhere and you don't know how you got there, right? Because your unconscious mind groups things by where they overlap. Now, why did I bring this up to you? Because I want to teach you how to clear those in part 3 of the webinar. The first thing we have to do is know what we want and imagine what that might be like. So I want you to stand up, or if you're more comfortable doing this sitting down, that's fine. Otherwise, I want you to stand up. I want you to think about the things you want. And I'm going to ask you a magic, and again, you don't have to type this in the chat. This is all rhetorical going forward. Just follow my instructions with a fun, playful, loving attitude and experience this for me, okay? I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about what you want and what it's going to be like to have it. How will you know when you've got it? What are you going to see? What are you going to hear? What are you going to smell? What are you going to taste? What might that be like? The important thing here is, what might it be like? What might it be like? I call this your Steven Spielberg moment. Because in this moment, I want you to create an alternate reality movie where you see yourself having that best life. You could go as far back into the past as you want to, as far into the future as you need to, and write, script, cast, direct every moment of that ideal life that allows you to experience that amazing outcome. What might that be like? I want you to go ahead right now as I continue to talk with your eyes closed and not driving. I want you to make that movie in your mind, and I want you to make it awesome. I want you to make it big as a drive-in movie theater screen, crystal clear like an IMAX. Turn up the sounds, the smells, the taste, the feel. Best life ever. And when it's completely awesome in every way, I want it to be so good, ladies and gentlemen, that you can't even sniff it without a big old smile on your face. And when you're ready, I want you to notice that there's a place in your body where those amazing, wonderful feelings start, where they grow, where they spread from. Take a moment. Notice where you feel it and point to it. And notice there's a color, maybe even a series of colors connected to those amazing feelings. Just keep it to yourself, but understand, realize, and know what color might that be for you, first impression. And once you know what that color or colors are, I want you to expand that movie screen even more. I want you to step into that movie, and I want you to live it first person over and over and over again. See the world through those eyes, hear the world through those ears, smell and taste and feel the world through that mind, body, and soul, alive with that amazing life experience. And I want you to watch it, and I want you to live it, not once, not twice, but hundreds and thousands of times at the speed of thought. With each repetition, I want you to make it 10 times stronger, 100 times better, 1,000 times more thrilling, fulfilling, and satisfying than ever before, until it overwrites and replaces every experience you've ever had before. And then it just keeps getting better and better and better. And I want you to notice that color in your body. I want you to notice how with each pass, each repetition of that amazing alternate reality movie, that energy in your body begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill your entire being, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and all points in between. And then it just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger until it becomes so strong, so powerful, so unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen, it begins to radiate, radiate, radiate from your body like the rays of the sun, forming a beautiful colored frame around that new reality that you've created. And when you're ready to own it, to embody it, to personify it completely, I want you to reach out, grab that frame with both of your hands, with the reality inside of it, lift it up over your head, expand it to fill the infinite universe, pass it through your entire being, head to toe, mind, body, soul, energy, spirit, over and over and over again. And keep doing that until every part of your being is vibrating in perfect and complete harmony with this new reality. And just keep going until it's 100%, 110%, 120%. Just keep going until every part of you is embodying that new reality whole and total, fully and completely. You may notice as you go through this process, your body does all kinds of interesting things. Some people break out in a sweat. Some people laugh. Some people yawn. Some people cry. Some people twitch. Some people get all tingly. Some people get hot all over. Some people yawn. Some people vomit. Some people fart. Some people do whatever bodily response your body generates. It's supposed to be happening. That's just how your body does it. Let it happen. As the changes lock in and take over, those other things are just going to fade away. When you know it's done, and only when you know it's done, stop for a moment, test it. Try to go back to the old version of yourself and notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, and only when you're satisfied, stop testing and type in the chat what just happened. Susan says, cool, I'm smiling. That's a big change, huh? Yes, very much. Matthew says, felt the power radiate from me and alter my past. Spectre says, I was in another world. I felt myself act grounded and in my power and unshakable. I was in another world. I felt myself actualized. Tweak is shivering. Intense state, chained. How long did it take? G. Will says, David, what have you done to us? I didn't do anything. The magic is in you. All I did was help you log into your own dashboard. So Sherry says, I went into a place of pain and wounded coming back here. Interesting. Okay. That needs some deeper work. Let's see here. Seconds, mere seconds. Yeah, 2 minutes, Tweak says, right? Now that's one technique. All right. So what will happen many times is this particular exercise will unlock a chain of things that you can begin think of it like a trail of breadcrumbs that'll lead you back to what we call an initial sensitizing event, which when you clear that, everything else dissolves. Sounds like I missed a good one. All right. So I promised you that was one technique from the whole system. See how powerful? What would happen if you had access to all of it? You think your life might change a little bit? Yes or yes? All right. So with your permission, I'd like to go ahead and share this with you and show you how to get access to everything I've put together for you tonight. Like I said before, a lot of you, I would love for all of you to be in all of my classes, to be in have every one of your butts in my seats. I know that's just not realistic. So what I've done, and I'm always thinking about this, how can I create a pathway for people to get the changes and the transformations that they truly want and need in the most comprehensive way possible? So I'd like to share this with you. This is called the Mastering Your Mind, Reality Reprogramming and Personal Transformation for Healing, Influence, and Success Home Study course. This is a set of programs that I've put together to design, oops, sorry, I just covered my own screen, that I've designed to help you really do all this work from the comfort of your own home. MYM is all about taking your life to the next level. It's about learning how to manifest wealth and abundance and align your mind with prosperity consciousness and attracting financial success in an effortless way. It's about mastering the skills of persuasion and influence to get more people to say yes to you without resistance, using secret NLP techniques, spiritual techniques, meditations, opening your heart and bathing them in love and light, and finding out what they really want and showing them how to get whatever they want by doing what you want. It's a very, very much a win-win approach to winning in the world. It's about transforming your relationships and learning how to build deep emotional connections, improve communication, and attract the right people into your life. If you've ever gotten sick and tired of dating the same person with a different face, this is one of the most important things you'll read today. If you want to have unstoppable confidence and charisma, if you want the ability to step into any room and radiate this heartfelt, loving power and magnetism and authority that people just bond to and move to, right? This is going to be something that will completely change your life, right? If you're ready to break free of fear and limiting beliefs and self-sabotage and procrastination, to program your mind to take massive action and achieve your biggest goals fast, this is something you really probably want to pay attention to, okay? If you're ready, and I showed you experientially that you can do this. I'm not special. Every single one of you can do this, right? You just need a little bit more guidance, a little bit more structure to what you're doing, and you can write your ticket in this life. It's about creating rapid, lasting, permanent change in your life that only gets better. It's about using the power inherent, built in, latent in your own autonomic nervous system, your subconscious mind, to become the person that you came here to be, to live your very best life. That's my goal, right? I walk the talk, my students walk the walk. I want you to be one of those. Oops, this is wrong. I forgot to change the PowerPoint. This offer is good until the end of today, March 13th, 2025. I apologize for that. I did not realize I forgot to change the PowerPoint. So you'll probably see this date again, but the date should actually be March 13th, 2025. Okay. So what does the Mastering Your Mind program include? Well, it's going to include a 14 video home study course we call it the Self-Mastery Supercharger, or sometimes we call it Secrets of Personality Transformation. And it's got 7 full and complete stages to it. The stage where you remove all the negativity from your life that you didn't know you have, stuff that you're conscious of and stuff you're not conscious of, right? Remember those icky, naggy feelings we found when we were doing the positive exercise? We'll show you how to find those and clear those before they have a chance to come up and just derail your life. We're going to teach you how to remove the unconscious safety rules that are keeping you stuck. If you've ever had an issue that you thought was gone, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a similar situation and all those feelings come flooding back, or you go to somebody to get treated and it goes from a 7 to a 6, a 6 to a 5, a 5 to a 4, 4 to a 3, a 3 to a 2, and then it hits that 2 or that 1 and it just doesn't get any better, chances are your autonomic nervous system has attached a little file to that experience that is preventing you from fully getting rid of it. We call those safety rules. Once you understand what they're for and how they work, I can show you in minutes how to get rid of any safety rule so that you can proceed to continue to change those things until they hit a 0 and then transform them into something that you want instead. That's part 2 of the Identity by Design system. We're going to teach you how to remove the negative voices in your head that hold you back. You know the voices I'm talking about. The voice that just said what voice? The voice that says, you don't need that. Oh, that's too much money. Oh, you don't deserve that. It's too much work. You'll never amount to anything. I'm a drunk. You're a drunk. Your kids will probably be a drunk. That voice that you inherited, that you didn't ask for, that you didn't plan on, that has been narrating your life in a shitty way. I'm going to show you in no uncertain terms how to remove it, transform it, and have it become your biggest, most supportive, most loving cheerleader, mentor, guide, and coach, right? If you've ever gotten tired of your other than conscious mind just feeding you all the reasons why you can't do something, why you don't deserve to have something, this one technique can change everything. Everything, okay? I'm going to teach you step by step how to install 4 pillars of personal power and success. In my studies, on optimizing human performance, in my goal to become the best I could be at martial arts, at dating and attraction, persuasion and influence, healing, whatever it is, I found that there are default states that we move through the world in, states of depression or anxiety or worry or fear. And we're very used to those states. So I started asking myself, if I could replace that default state with something more useful, with something that would build me up and inspire me to move forward, what states would do that for me? And I came across 4. You might be surprised to learn that I only found 4. I didn't find only 4. The problem is that not every positive state that you experience moves you forward. There's only a few key states that actually inspire you or motivate you to take a chance, to go for something. And that's curiosity, playfulness, relentlessness, and victory and triumph. So we're going to teach you in step 4 of the Identity by Design process how to install these 4 driver states into you so that they're constantly there, they're always on demand, and you can turn them up and amplify them anytime you want or need to. Okay, we call this process Pillars of Power. You can actually see a demonstration of it on my YouTube channel, but it's part of an underlying system. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to systematically sanitize all of the negativity from your past memories. What if you could go back through your entire history, find all the energy that's locked in all of your negative memories, and just suck out the energy, shatter those memories like they were just sugared glass that they use in movies, have it blow away like dust in the wind, take all that energy, pump it into all of your positive memories, so that when you think back on the past, you only remember it in ways that make your life better. How would your life change if you had the ability to move energy around in your memory so the good memories got stronger and the negative memories just completely disappeared and were impossible to affect you? What would your life be like if you could do that? For Tweak, the 4 states are curiosity, relentlessness, playfulness, and victory. What if I could take all of those things we just talked about, the ability to clear conscious and unconscious negativity, the ability to remove safety rules that are keeping you stuck, the negative voices in your head, and the 4 pillars of unstoppable power and success, and the sanitization of negativity. What if I could take those 5 or 6 processes and install those in you at the genetic memory level? If you've ever heard of something called epigenetics, what if we could take that and install it as a program in your genetic memory so that every time your cells multiply and divide, that program amplifies and magnifies, that it instinctively, automatically applies that process to every thought and memory and experience that you have? Now, that's the remedial process. But what if we could take the traits, qualities, characteristics, attributes, skills, and genius of other people, people that you admire, people that you want to be more like, people who you think of as role models for you? What if we could take their best attributes and install them through mirror neurons and deep trance identification into your autonomic nervous system in such a way that they become a template for you to express those skills and abilities to? What if you could do all of that? Ladies and gentlemen, what if you could do all that in less than 8 minutes? You heard me right. What if you could do all that in less than 8 minutes? Now, training to be able to do that in 8 minutes is going to take you a little longer. But once you've gone through the training process, you'll be able to go from part A to part Z in 8 minutes or less. Okay? This is our mastering your mind. This is where we start. Okay? It's going to come with a whole hypnosis manual that has a whole lot of techniques and skills and abilities and principles for how to run your mind effectively. You're going to come with an online community. Total value on this is $2,497. Okay? But this is just where we're starting, guys. I've put together the Mac Daddy, the mother of all transformation programs for you, and I want to make it super easy for you to get it. So when you grab your package, not only are you going to get all this, this is where we start, you're also going to get Hidden laws of attraction. For those of you who are into manifestation, those of you who want to use the power of your subconscious mind to pull things into your reality, if you want to be able to communicate with that reticular formation system and interact with the quantum universe in such a way that you become naturally lucky, more magnetic to money, the ability to influence people in person or remotely, to find and remove the hidden negativity and blocks to your success and other people's success that they didn't even know they had. If you want to be able to clear up issues that just don't seem to go away, or more importantly, if those issues keep coming back, to figure out why they keep coming back. What is that lesson? What is that thing trying to teach you so you can finally let it go and move beyond it? Hidden laws of attraction is where we start to get a little bit more quantum in our approach to utilizing the power of your autonomic nervous system. If I could teach you a powerful set of language patterns that would instantly trigger a chain reaction of unstoppable energy and motivation in your life to attract the things you want and to change what you deserve, even if you don't think you deserve it. If I could show you a powerful way to do that, how would that impact your life? Would that be useful? That's just part of what we're going to do with hidden laws of attraction. Okay. If you could delete the negativity and vibrational imprints from your past, but not just your past, your parents' past, your grandparents' past, your past lives, any place that you've inherited a less than powerful genetic memory or vibrational imprint, I'm going to teach you how to remove those. Right? What if we could take the natural qualities and characteristics of people who are just naturally lucky, who've been studied because their lives are examples of higher than average positive serendipitous events, teach you how to take those core characteristics and install them through the identity by design process into your mind, body, and nervous system so that you become automatically more lucky. How would that change things based on what you've learned so far? Based on the experiences you've had, how would that make a difference for you, right? What if I could give you, in my opinion, one of the most powerful engines of manifestation I have ever experienced? In many of my videos, you've heard me talk about Bill Bengston and the image cycling technology that I modeled from him. In my opinion, what Bengston's method was someone searching for gold and striking platinum. And I've taken what I've learned from Bill and I've modified it using the other technologies that we've had to create one of the most powerful methods for manifesting, in my opinion, patently impossible stuff. But the original image cycling technology that I learned was tested in double-blind, placebo-controlled animal studies on rats designed to die from cancer, and the rats got cured. That's the technology I borrowed from to create the most powerful manifestation tool ever. Now, I don't have time to go through every single manifestation story that image cycling is responsible for, but after you've clicked the links in the chats and stuff like that, I invite you to go to my YouTube channel and type in funny law of attraction stories. It's about a 20 or 30-minute video where I do nothing but tell stories of things that have happened as a byproduct of this image cycling process. Okay. And there's a whole lot more in here. So this is a really, really powerful program by itself. When you combine it with the Master Your Mind crash course, the processes I've just talked about, you get an exponential return on your investment. You get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. Now, that's just 2 parts of this program that we've put together. Imagine what your life will be like, right? Total value on this is $1,997, but there's more, right? We're also going to include these special bonuses, right? You're going to get the Identity by Design Hypnotherapy Home Study course. Now, this program, for those of you who are coaches, healers, mentors, who are looking to add more power to the work you're already doing, for those of you who are looking to add an extra income stream to your business, this is probably going to give you the biggest boost to your bottom line, both in terms of client outcomes as well as services that you can charge for. This is our first hypnotherapy home study course. I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I've actually had students from a very well-known medical university reach out to me recently to use this course for extra credit for their doctoral students. I won't say which university it is. I won't say how many students there were. Let's just say there was more than 3. So I'm very proud of this program. I'm clinically, nothing beats it. And so for you guys who are ready to not just work on yourselves, but want to take this work out into the world and make a difference in other people's lives, this is the program that you need. Included in this program is a 30-minute process where you can take any person walking in your door, and from cold start to 30 minutes, it has a 90% conversion rate from prospect to client. So if you're having issues getting clients to want to take you up on your services, I'll show you a practically bulletproof way where you don't have to be me at all to get 9 out of 10 people coming into your door to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to work with you. Okay. Anybody out there using this process with their clients now that want to chime in on the chat? Feel free. This program is going to teach you systematically how to hypnotize anyone, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. It's going to teach you how to remove the blocks to your success, remove the negativity your clients didn't even know they had, clear up all the issues that just don't seem to go away, change the crappy voices in their head so that it builds them up instead of tearing them down, and resolve all that negativity from their past so that when they look on the past, they only do it in ways that make their life better. Okay. And then finally, to install the traits, qualities, and characteristics of people that your clients want to be more like. The other thing is it's going to teach you how to deal with clients who freak out. One of the biggest pet peeves I have about people in the hypnotherapy industry, especially classical hypnotherapy, is they don't adequately prepare their clients or their students to deal with clients who are going to abreact, who have intense emotional, unexpected, and sometimes uncontrollable emotional purges. We're going to get that out of the way in day one. We're going to fix that so that it never throws you again. The other thing that it's going to do for you is we're going to teach you instant and rapid inductions on day one, so that you know that you can drop people into trance anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. There are people in this chat who've actually been in a lobby undergoing renovations next to an active operating jackhammer, hypnotizing people with 100% success. When I say that this takes you from hypnotic 0 to hypnotic hero, it's exactly what I'm talking about. There's no overstatements here at all. You don't have to believe it. You just got to do it. Total combined value on this is, we already talked about hidden laws of attraction. Finally, we're going to throw in real world hypnosis, conversational hypnosis. This is stealth CPI. The reason that we're doing this is because we spent the past 2 or 3 courses giving you the ability to program your mind to do what you want. What we need now is a way for you to express yourself in such a way that people feel compelled to do what you want them to do, and to do that in an ethical and honest way. So we're including this particular course. This is called Real World Conversational Hypnosis. And it's going to teach you how to conversationally, charismatically influence anyone, anytime, anywhere, how to emotionally bond and connect with anyone you want, and have them responding to you in the way you want, pretty much at will. It's going to teach you how to control your own emotions and emotional state and use them to become more magnetic and connecting with other people. It will teach you the 7 most powerful hypnotic language programs that, when you use them, will cause people to believe what you say and do what you want without ever having to lie, steal, cheat, confabulate, or misrepresent what you do in any way. It will allow you to direct a person's focus of attention to exactly what you want them to pay attention to, and ignore everything else. It'll allow you to make anything you want seem to cause anything you want in the minds of your subjects or your listeners, even if those things have absolutely nothing in common. If you're a hypnotist or a therapist, think about what you could do if you could systematically direct the thoughts and beliefs and feelings of another human being so that they get the change they're paying you for. What if you could take anything you want and have it mean anything you want in the minds of your subject? We're going to give you a language pattern and a process for doing that in an infallible way. Okay. What if you could literally force a person's internal mind movies to be exactly what you want them to be with 0 chance of resistance? Okay. That's also part of this training. What if you have the ability to instantly make people like, love, and trust you deeper than they've trusted their best friends? Okay. And just keep accelerating that connection from there. All that and more. This is a $1,950 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. Total combined value on everything we've talked about so far is $7,441. Now, we've talked a lot about how to reprogram your subconscious mind. We've talked a lot about how to influence people. One of the systems and one of the things that we need to really become experts and masters in for ourselves first and then for our clients second is the power of our belief systems. And so to help you do that, we've included this special program. This program is called Renegade Reframing. It is easily one of the fastest, most effective ways to change any belief in seconds, sometimes in minutes, sometimes seconds, during normal conversations. Think about this for a moment. What if for every limiting belief that you became aware of that was holding you back in any way, you had no less than 14 different ways to change that before you started stacking them? What would your life be like if you had 14 different choices on how to change a belief and believe anything you wanted? What if you had the ability to overcome any limiting belief your wife, your children, your clients, your sales prospects came up with, and you had 14 different ways to overcome that and have them feeling good about it and having them think it was their idea? What could you do with that? How could you build your business? How could you transform your relationships? How could you get more of the things you want by helping other people get what they want? That's exactly what this program will do for you and more. When I started teaching my mega students and my influence coaching students how to use this process on their own limiting beliefs, their lives changed in minutes. They literally could not go back to thinking about the belief or having that belief the same way. Okay, this is a $1,950 value. It comes with a game that you can play with your friends and family to get you really good at zapping these things like quick draw, right? We call it the reframe game. Some people turn it into a drinking game. I don't advocate drinking, but however you want to do it, right? Where you literally can pass not insults, but limiting beliefs, objections back and forth, challenge people to overcome it, and then overcome their objection by overcoming, they overcome your objection, you overcome their objection, and it becomes a lot of fun. But it'll allow you to win any argument, overcome any objection, and change any limiting belief, including your own, in minutes. This is one of the most powerful and fun aspects of what we do in Planet David. And I'm using this all the time. I'm just not telling anybody, right? So once again, it's a $1,950 value. That combined with everything that I've shared with you so far, total combined value on this package is $9,391 if you register before the end of the webinar. So let's look at what we've got for you right now. You're going to get the Master Your Mind Home Study Program, which is the 7-stage identity by design process, valued at $2,497. You're going to get the Real World Hypnosis Identity by Design Hypnotherapy Certification Program, valued at $1,497. Boy, this PowerPoint needs some editing. We're going to get the Hidden Laws of Attraction, Mind Magic, and Manifestation Masterclass. I believe I was pricing that at $1,997, but we're going to give it to you free either way. You're going to get the Stealth CPI Level 1 Universal Persuasion Protocol, valued at $1,950. And you're going to get the Renegade Reframing, the secrets for overcoming any objection and changing any belief in minutes during normal conversations. It's a $1,950 value. Think about if just a tenth of what I've talked about is true for you, right? How is that going to change everything? And guys and gals, believe me when actually don't believe me. Grab the course, test the material, and prove me wrong. If even a tenth of what I'm sharing with you, how is that going to change your life, right? Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to, actually, I was meditating the other day, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And the first thing one of the first things that popped in my head, which I'd never gotten this before, was I'm here to teach the teachers, right? So my job is to make you as good as humanly possible so you can go out and change the world. You're the teachers, if that's what you want to be. right? But first, you got to transform yourself. Then you become a sample for everybody else, and life just gets better for everyone. So total value on this, guys, is $9,391. Now, obviously, I want to make this easy for you. So I want to give you the best deal that I can today, right? So you're not going to have to pay $9,391. Not today, right? You're not going to have to pay $5,341. If I knocked almost $3 or $4 grand off, that would still be a heck of a deal if you think about what it will do for you, right? Just one of these programs netted me over $200,000 in back of the room sales just by using one of these techniques. So it's a pretty good ROI if you put it out there, right? So, but we're not going to charge that. We're not even going to ask for $33.47. Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase. $14.97. Would that be a good deal? Would this be a great deal at $14.97? Well, guess what? I'm not even going to do that. You click that link in your chat right now. I'm going to give you every single thing I've talked about, plus a few more things that I haven't talked about for just $7.97. I'm doing this because I want you to win, right? I want you. Sorry, I almost went into a Cheap Trick song. I want you to want me. No, I'm teasing. I'm just having fun with this. But I love this stuff, right? I want you to be a winner. I want you to make your life the idolization, the envy of everybody, and then show them how to do it too. So you can get it all for just a one low installment of $7.97, or you can break that up into 3 easy installments of $3.97 each. All you got to do is click that link in your chat, www.nlppower.com/MIND. That's www.nlppower.com/MIND. Go ahead and do that now while you can. Now, for those of you who are wondering, is this for real, David? I don't know. I don't know if I deserve this. I don't know if this will work for me. Here's my challenge for you and my promise. Ladies and gentlemen, click that link. Let me show you really quick. Click this link, get your course. Work it for 60 days. If you have questions, email us, call us, let us help you over the sticking points. If at the end of 60 days, you are not on the fast track to manifesting more money, to finding the love that you want the way that you want it, if you're not counting and attracting more success into your life, if you're not starting to see the manifestation of your dreams coming your way, appearing in your life, almost by accident, if you're not already feeling more secure and confident and powerful, if you're not really winning, I will refund every dime that you've invested in this program. All I ask is after you click that link, you work the plan for 60 days. If on day 59, it's not working, pick up the phone, reach out to Moss or Mia. We'll refund your money, and you can keep whatever programs you've downloaded, right? That's my gift for you. It's my way of saying thank you for, hey, giving us a shot. You guys don't help me by not winning. So I'm fully invested in you, but I can't want it more than you. If you're ready for a change, you know what to do. Click that link and start working the plan, okay? Now, for those of you who are early adopters, those of you who like to be fast action takers, and I always like to reward people who do that, please ignore this deadline. The deadline is March 13th, 2025. I completely don't know how I missed all these typos in this PowerPoint because anyway, the universe's way of laughing and making me humble. Anyway, tonight's deadline is March 13th, 2025, 11:59 p.m. This offer that I've just made up to this point is 100% available to you right now if you click that link or call Moss or Mia until tonight, March 13th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. The offer goes away. Now, if you call Mia or Moss or you email them, please, 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 please leave your contact information. If you leave your contact information on the phone when you call Moss, you will qualify for bonuses. If you do not leave your contact information and you call us the next day, or we call you the next day, you will not qualify for the bonuses. So please, we always have a stampede at this point in the webinar. Please, 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 if you get the voicemail, because we only have 2 operators at any given moment, leave your contact information so you qualify. Okay. I'm sometimes pretty adamant about sticking to my rules. Sometimes I'm more merciful, other days not so much. So please, by all means, click those links right now, www.nlppower.com/mind. For those of you who have already clicked the link, I've got extra gifts for you, right? And these gifts are good for anybody until I log off the webinar. So everything I've talked about up to this point is available until 11:59 p.m. Pacific time or 11:59 p.m. in whatever part of the world you're in. So if you're in Hawaii, for example, you're a little bit behind us or ahead of us. No, it's behind us. So you might have a little bit extra room. In either case, if you're not sure, email Moss and me and we'll let you know. But for those of you on the chat right now, I'm about to launch into some other amazingly cool bonuses that I'm going to give you 100% for free, but these are only available to you if you click the link before I log off the webinar. In other words, when I log off, these bonuses go away. Okay, I've said it. It's in the video. When you watch the replay, you were told. Okay, so first one, we're going to include, when you click that link, a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. Now, what's important to understand about the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program is that it is the longest running NLP and hypnosis mentoring group program in existence. It's been running nonstop every month of every year on the 3rd Saturday of the month since 2010. Do the math, okay? On the 3rd Saturday of every month at 11 a.m., I come in, I look around the room, I look who's there, and I say, Agnes, what do you want to learn? Clowny, what do you want to learn? Mia, what do you want to learn? Richard, what do you want to learn? Roger, what do you want to learn? Agnes, what do you want to learn? Sophia, what do you want to learn? Right? And I write it down on the board. I look at all the connecting threads. I create a lesson plan on the spot. And for the next 3.5 to 4 or 5 hours, I drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. The thing about the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program is it gives you the one thing, maybe 2 things really, that make all the success. The first one is it gives you access to an opportunity to practice in real time with real people on real techniques and get real world feedback. The second thing is it gives you a community. It gives you a tribe that you can hang out with and talk about these things without feeling like a freak or having people give you the bombastic side eye or whatever it is that they do when you try to talk about these subjects, right? It gives you support. It gives you a community. It gives you the ability to roll up your sleeves, do the drills, and get the skills. You are not going to get a certificate from the Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you're going to get is skill. What you're going to get is an ability to do this out in the real world, in real situations and circumstances, and the ability to consistently hone your techniques and make it better. Okay. Not only that, not only are you going to get a 3-month full trial membership to the actual live trainings or virtual training, depending on how you look at it. We videotaped every single training session since October of 2010, and we're archiving that. We're actually moving the archive into a Kajabi platform, and everybody in the Mastermind program will have unlimited access to the entire 14-year video archive. Stuff that's never been shown on YouTube, never been featured in a product. We're going to use AI to organize it a little bit so you can find content a little easier, but it's largely member driven. And you can binge watch that stuff for hours, weeks, and months to your heart's content for as long as you're a member in good standing of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. If at the end of your 90-day trial, you love what you're getting and you want to stay, we'll show you how to extend your membership. If at the end of those 90 days, you got what you needed, you got your hands on, you're getting your outcomes, you're good, no harm, no foul. We'll terminate your membership and you go off into the world and make it yours. right? Total value on this is $1,597. We're going to give it to you absolutely free, just for being one of the first people tonight to click that link before I log off. So if you've already clicked the link, you already got this. You just didn't know it. Sherry's asking, can we watch this recording again? Yes, you can watch the recording again, but the bonuses are in real time. So if that's a factor for you, it's a factor. If not, yeah, this will be up on YouTube, probably be on our homepage, maybe a couple other websites that we operate off. And by all means, please watch it, because I'm telling you right now, I gave you guys a treasure trove of principles and practices that you're going to be able to use to transform your life. If you apply just the 6 dynamics to any other meditative or transformational process that you're engaged in, you're going to get better results faster. I've discovered that if you, for those of you who are hypnotists, if you teach these 6 dynamics to your clients before you put them in trance or run them through a suggestibility test, your level of resistance and reactance from the patient drops to almost nothing. If you teach them this first, that's one of the reasons I gave it to you. You have that 6 dynamics, you have that emotional bonding and emotional motivation checklist. You have everything you need to start getting people to like, love, trust you, and sign up for your services. You have everything you need to motivate them to take the actions you want them to take based on the information you get from the unconscious mind. It's all, I front loaded you with that right at the beginning of the webinar, but there's a complete system that these things are drawn from. And I want you to have access to the full thing. So the total value on this is $10,078. Okay. We're also going to include, for those of you who don't like to sit for long periods of time, and I'm one of them, by the way, for those of you who want an ability to just have a fast start, to get out there, start slinging your hypnotic Jedi skills out into the world, we're going to include the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. Stealth is actually an acronym. Yes, it sounds cool, but it also stands for Strategic Suggestion Through Emotionally Amplified Linguistically Transmitted Hypnosis, right? Hypnotic language, conversational hypnosis, that's what it's about. With this program, you can watch 2 videos, takes you less than 2 hours, and be out hypnotizing people automatically right away. It's literally that fast. But there's more to it than that. You're going to get the 7 most powerful hypnotic language patterns that exist, things that allow you to make anything you want, cause anything you want in the minds of your listener, direct their focus of attention, embed commands, hypnotic hot buttons where you tap into their emotional values and link them to what you want. There's videos in there where I'm teaching a private meetup session in somebody's home, and I'm doing these language patterns. I'm teaching instant and rapid inductions. Some versions of this actually come with a Hidden Laws of Attraction crash course, which we've actually bonused the bigger version of that to you previously. It comes with anchors in action. It comes with a video on lie detection and skill sets. It comes with videos, transcripts, MP3s, workbooks. It's a full boat course on instant conversational hypnosis. You download it tonight, be hypnotizing people tonight or tomorrow, depending on how fast you go through the first couple hours of training. It's a $997 value. We're going to bonus this to you absolutely free as one of the fast. If you just click that link right now and reserve your spot. So total value on this combined package is $11,075, but we're not done yet. I'm a big proponent, my friends, of being in the room, locking you in, and just transforming you for 3 or 5 solid days. So for any of you who click that link right now, or who have clicked the link already, you're going to get free from me, from the wonderful world of Planet David, NLP Power, a VIP anything goes super event bonus ticket. Let me tell you what this is about. This ticket gives you instant access to your choice of any single 3-day intensive, with one exception: Identity by Design. Identity by Design starts in less than 2 weeks. And if you click your link now, Identity by Design is a 5-day training, and you will automatically be registered to sit in the Identity by Design classroom, either virtually or in person, absolutely free. So not only do you get the home study course, you get to live it and do the drills in real time with real people.
It's a 5-day program. You're going to eliminate self-sabotage. You're going to heal your physical and emotional pain and suffering. You're going to remove blocks to your success and limiting beliefs. You're going to find and remove hidden negativity you and your clients didn't even know they had. You're going to clear up issues that just don't seem to go away. You're going to change that crappy voice in your head so that it's one that builds you up and inspires you and motivates you instead of tearing you down and holding you back. It's going to teach you how to resolve all the negative energy and reclaim the negative energy from your past, move it into your positive memories, and build up a version of yourself that is absolutely unstoppable. Okay? You'll get in touch with your true self and go far beyond what you even believed you were capable of. That's identity by design. And if you can make it, you've got a ticket for a front row seat. All you got to do is click that link right now and you get it. Now, if you can't make identity by design, you can take that ticket, you can apply it to our next face reading for fun and profit 3-day home study boot or a live boot camp. You can do that virtually or you can do that in person. Like I said, I want you in the room with me. I want to be able to touch you on the nose and say, are you getting this? But if you can only do it virtually, we're set up for that too. In fact, Moss, kudos out to Moss, because Moss is such a customer and student-oriented person. Every time we do a live event, he adds more technology. He finds new camera angles and new cameras and more interfaces and more ways for our virtual students to have a deeper, richer, fuller experience of the live event. Now, I got to be honest with you. I hate that he does that. Why is that? It's because I want you in the room. I'm just gonna be upfront. I want you in the room where I can shake your hand and I can touch you on the nose or feel your watch your colors change and stuff like that. But let's be honest, in a post-COVID world, with all the craziness that's going on, people have gotten used to training from home, and I get that. So the question became, how do we make it better? How can we make our online virtual training experience as close to fully immersive as being in the room as humanly possible, and then build on that? And honestly, to Moss's credit, God bless millennials, he's figuring it out. So we've gotten tremendous positive feedback on the last 3 or 4 events that we've done, from the the camera angles, the interactiveness, the whole 9 yards. So when you log on to one of these trainings, it's not just where you're just going to have you're just a fly on the wall. You're part of the class. And that's really exciting. So, and that's true for our virtual healing intensive, which has a very limited enrollment. So our virtual healing intensive is basically you and a small group of people with me for 3 solid days doing nothing but clearing your shit and transforming your life. It's like having a personal session from me that lasts 3 solid days. Anybody who's had the virtual healing intensive experience, please post your experiences in the chat. Let people know what that's like. All these are $2,497 value. You get to pick one and come free, absolutely free. Total value on everything that we've talked about so far is $13,572. Okay, but you can get it all for one low installment of just $797, or 3 installments of $397. Now, if you do the math, right, our regular webinar prices are $997. We're going to take an extra $200 off just because of St. Patrick's Day this month, right? So 3 installments are just $397. You're going to get the Secrets of Personality, Mind Control Manifestation, or Mind Mastery Home Study course. You're going to get the Identity by Design Hypnotherapy Home Study course valued at $1,497 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get Hidden Laws of Attraction, Manifestation, and Mind Control Mastery, $1,497. Stealth CPI, Universal Persuasion Protocol, Renegade Reframing, Rapid Conversational Belief Change Home Study course, all valued at $1,950 each. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and the 14-year video archive, $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course valued at $997. We're going to give you that free. And you're going to get that VIP Anything Goes Super event ticket. First 15 people only, if you're one of the people to click that link. Total value on this is $13,572. You can get it all for one low installment of just $797. All you got to do is click that link in your chat. https://www.nlppower.com/mind. Click those links in your chat. We're going to take a 7-minute break. So you guys can go ahead and click those links, go through the process. When we come back, we're going to pick up with phase 3. We're going to start clearing blocks to success, overcoming limiting beliefs, all the little naggy things that came up. If you guys want to clear that stuff or work on how to clear that stuff, we'll do that. I'll give you some other options for how we can also work with your unconscious mind. If there's other things you want to learn about, I'm happy to talk about those and guide you through those processes. After you click that link, take your break, grab a drink, grab some stuff to take notes with if you haven't already, right? And we'll be back in 7-ish minutes. Let's do, it'll be 6:12. 6:12? Yeah, 6:12 my time at Pacific, and then we will continue with phase 3 of our webinar. Click those links, and I will see you on the other side. All right, I'm back from my break. So while we're waiting, I see Christina says healing intensive was advertised as is as advertised, intense, so worth it. Worked through more stuff in 3 days than 3 years in therapy. My therapist was like, "What's new? You're making amazing progress. Highly recommended. Just don't plan on any social events for the following day." Yes, Do not do that. The work is real, because after the work is real, I needed a day to recover from all. Yes. Very nice. Well done, Christina. Well done. Right. Yeah. I can honestly say that having met Christina for the first time during the intensive, she did not see it coming. She did not see that coming. G. Wilson says, David, do you have any tips for doing the future pace and cleanup step from the general change work silo on yourself? Play pretend as much as possible, and stop and don't try to control what you find. And every now and then when something comes up, just ask yourself, and then what happens? And notice what your unconscious mind does. When you're doing the future pace and cleanup, the whole idea behind future pace and cleanup is the understanding, and you'll learn this in Identity by Design. Obviously, you have it because you're asking a very someone who's a question that only someone who's been through the program would know. When you're doing future pace and cleanup, the whole idea behind future pace and cleanup is the understanding that your autonomic nervous system already has your future planned out. Your autonomic nervous system actually is a predictive mechanism. And so it's always predicting what's going to happen next and navigating you to make sure that the prediction matches the experience. And what people don't know, and even scientists, a lot of scientists don't know this, is that anytime your nervous system encounters an experience that is different from the prediction, your autonomic system backs up your cognition and your awareness, makes the revisions, and then moves you forward again. So you never know that what you encountered versus what you predicted isn't exactly the same. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's some pretty solid science behind this. If you pick up the book, 7.5 Lessons About the Brain by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, you'll feel she's the scientist who uncovered this aspect of the autonomic nervous system and proprioceptive nervous system and interoceptive nervous systems. We have all these different systems that communicate below the threshold of conscious awareness. And when you follow the Identity by Design system, you integrate all of these systems together in a common language towards a common purpose, which is why you tend to get change so quickly. But that's background information to answer the question, which I answered for Wilson, but for those of you who maybe haven't got your package yet, your unconscious mind is always making a prediction of your future that is based on its past. So when you go back and you change something in your past memory, the prediction that your unconscious mind creates is modified and edited. So in the future pace and cleanup strategy, what you're doing is after you've done your change work, you project yourself into your future prediction. You go down into it, you look around and you see what you find. Because what your autonomic nervous system creates, your autonomic nervous system accepts. And that's one of the prime directives of your unconscious mind, is to make your external experience match your internal reality. And that's why the future pace and cleanup is such an important part of the practice, is because it's a way for you to check yourself, to make sure that the changes you're making are moving your life in the direction you want them to go. So G was saying, oh, I was thinking you'd go into the future, and if you saw something bad, then you come out of it and say, there's a reason that happened. Okay, you could do that. So the other thing about future pace and cleanup, the reason we call it cleanup is because when you move from the past, you move into the future, 7 days, a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. If there's something that you haven't addressed yet, that's still under the surface, as you progress out into your timeline, the chances of you triggering that go up. So what happens is before you get 6 months from that moment in real time, you project 6 months into the future. If there's something there that would have derailed you, it's going to pop up like whack-a-mole right then, and you can fix it there. Your answer was thinking it was something bad. You could do that. Right. The moment you find something that comes up in that future pace and cleanup process, you can point to where you feel it, reach out and touch it, frame it, spin it, color breathe it. You could do that. You could just do a quick and dirty, or you can do a full-blown regression type process and go all the way back into the past again and clean that up. right? The intervention that you choose to use is entirely up to you. The process of provoking it and pulling it up into your awareness so you can deal with it right then and there is the same regardless of how you choose to go about resolving it. So does that answer your question? Hopefully. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I'm happy to answer questions. Okay. I'm nibbling on some blueberries here. I shouldn't eat while I'm having a webinar, but I'm a human. I'm a guy. I'm a dude. I put my pants on just the same way as everybody else. I levitate into them, right? I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I don't do that. Although it is on my to-do list. Let's see here. Freedom State says, making the experience more vivid will pull you in so much deeper. What is it? Yeah. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What? Now, that's actually a neurolinguistic trick that goes right to your neurology. When you, and I invite you guys to go back and check this. Like if you ever watch me guiding people through a process, you'll hear me say, what might you see? What might you hear? What might you smell? What might you taste? When you see what you see and you hear what you hear and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there's a feeling that you get, right? That sounds like just pattern. What we're actually doing is something called cortical activation. If I say to you the word coffee, the part of your brain that knows what coffee smells like is triggered. The part of your brain that knows what coffee looks like is triggered. The part of your brain that knows what coffee tastes like is triggered, right? When you start systematically activating each cortex of the brain iteratively with the common experience, everything starts to synergize. And you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts from a neurological perspective. Everything that we do is about neurological de-inhibition. In other words, we're taking all the different aspects of your neurology and we're fusing them together into a holographic information processing system that's not separated, that's speaking the same language and doing all those things. Now, you don't need to know any of that to do the techniques, right? In fact, my advanced coaching, we have an advanced coaching program called the Influential Healer Mastery Coaching Program, which you'll only learn about through live event training or something like that. We haven't really offered it to the general public outside of people who are sitting in the room and we know you, right? Because of the power that it gives you. But for those of you who are in the healing professions and want access to that, if you call and ask Moss, he has like 1 or 2 spots left before we close this cohort off. So Susan says, I can see easily, but not so much the other. Should I make believe? Yes, that's the other secret. Remember I said that the part of you that controls your long-term memory, that keeps your heart beating, that controls your hormonal balances, it's also the same part that makes things up. Every now and then, this is especially true if you're a transformation, an agent of change is what we call it. You know, you're a change worker. You're going to get people who can't do certain things or don't know how to do certain things or don't know what something might be like or what something is like. If you can just get or have never had an experience that you want them to remember, all you have to do is have them pretend. And again, you'll learn about this. You'll learn about all the different nuts and bolts and all the powerful workarounds that we have for getting change, that the nervous system to do what we want it to do and communicating with it effectively. But one of the most powerful ways to get anything to work is to pretend. Okay. It doesn't seem like that should be such a big deal. It's huge. It's absolutely game changing once you understand the power of pretend, especially when you get the body engaged in the change work. Once the body's engaged in the change work, the change is inevitable. It doesn't matter what your conscious mind wants to believe. You get that body active in the process of transformation long enough, it'll overwrite whatever your neocortex wants to believe. That's why I say you don't have to believe anything. And the truth is that understanding, that revelation, was a byproduct of my martial arts training, but I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until 20 or 30 years later. And I don't tell this story very often, but I'll share it with you guys. Back in 2003-ish, 2002, I was in acupuncture school. I was going to medical school. And one of the classes I was taking was a Chinese bodywork, Tuina. And we had like 3 practical exams to pass the class. Now I'm very good at Tuina. I for some reason I can do anything manual. I'm a body mind. I can do that. I don't do it now as much because, but the somatics of it have found their way into all the change work I do. Be that as it may, for whatever reason, I found myself standing in line to take my next practical exam, which required me to have a partner. I didn't have a partner. And for whatever reason, I had a brain fart. Maybe I was complacent. Maybe I had too much beer. Maybe I was having too many dates. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I had not studied for this exam, nor did I have a partner. So I'm standing there. I've got maybe 15, 20 minutes before I have to go in and demonstrate shoulder and low back and hip as part of my practical exam. And I've got no partner. And so I'm sitting there freaking out, thinking, what am I going to do? When this little voice goes in my head, the little voice in my head says, pretend. Just imagine you have one. It's like a kata. Kata are these pre-programmed movements in the classical martial arts, which nobody understands and everybody poo-poos. But there's so much magic in those things that if you truly get access to those teachings, everything changes. Anyway, not a story for today. But so what do? I'm standing in line. There's nobody around, so I just close my eyes and I actually did this with my eyes open. I imagined a person sitting in the chair, and I start going through the Tuina shoulder protocol. And for the first 30 seconds, I felt a little self-conscious, but I kept using my imagination and doing the process. 15 minutes later, I wake up soaking in sweat, having done all 3 protocols on the guy. And I look, and everybody in line is looking at me like, because I'm literally sitting there dancing around some invisible dude, right? Because in my mind, there was a person there, and my mind didn't care. Once I started acting out the change, it overwrote my neocortex, and I was fully absorbed in that experience. And that is one of the big secrets to how a lot of the changes in Planet David work. Somatic engagement. You'll get a full deep dive understanding of that in your Identity by Design course, in your self-mastery courses. When you come to Identity by Design, you'll see how it works. In the masterminds, you'll see how it works. Every piece of change work that we do, with almost no exceptions, has a somatic engagement component. And once you've got that, and you understand how the body factors in, because it's the biggest part of your subconscious mind. Once you understand how to get that involved in the imaginative process, you get an exponential increase in the responsiveness from the autonomic nervous system. You get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. Right. So that's my long drawn out story, but hopefully you guys find that useful. Freedom State is asking, hey, David, to say the shadow self implies a certain level of dissociation, but to dissociate the shadow from the self is to create part that associates to the. Okay, so this is what we call a confusion induction. So when we talk about shadow work, all right, first and foremost, I don't like that term shadow work. I think it does a tremendous disservice to a very powerful part of our being. Okay. I've also heard words like soul retrieval, which in my Chinese medical training, my shamanic training, my mystical trainings, you hear that word bandied about all the time, which I don't really like that word either, because your soul is never lost. It's your consciousness that gets fragmented. It's your spirit body that gets fragmented. It's your memories that get fragmented, but your soul is it's untouchable, right? From a mystical perspective, your soul is the great observer. So I don't like those terms because I don't think they're accurate. Now, do we go in and retrieve something? Yes. In advanced trauma work, there's a fragment of your consciousness that is locked in a trauma bubble. It's like a movie on an endless loop, right? And that part of you is conscious, but it's as conscious as you were at the moment that that trauma was created. And it doesn't know that that moment's over. So when we're doing advanced trauma work, which you'll be introduced to in Identity by Design, in advanced trauma work, we take the host consciousness, the big C part of you, we travel back in time into that memory. We find that part of you that was locked and trapped in that memory, and we retrieve that. We bring that out of the memory and we reintegrate it back into the core consciousness that is you. And when you do that, the trauma bubble disappears, the energy is discharged, and you heal. Right? But it's not your soul. It's a fragment, an energetically charged fragment of your consciousness locked in a memory. Think of it like, this is kind of gross, but think of it like a fly frozen in an ice cube, right? We go in and we melt the ice cube, we bring the fly out, and we can dispose of it however we want to do it. But it's the same idea. There's a piece of you in those memories and those trauma bubbles that doesn't know that thing is over. And when we go back and we rescue it and we give it a different reality, your body starts to heal automatically, because that's how it's designed. Your body's designed to express energy and let memories pass through you. Once the emotional charge has been dissipated, the lessons have been learned, and you can let those things go. And there's a structure and an organization to that process that, if you understand from a integrative perspective, is actually magic. It's pure magic. And it seems like magic when we apply it. Even though we have the science to explain the vast majority of the things we're doing. Nobody's ever thought to put them together in the way that we do it. And I've learned these things from different sources. I take credit for the synergy, not the source, right? I'll tell you my sources. I give you a fucking book list that's like 300 titles, right? And I show you where I got the stuff, right? I'm not special. I just, this is just what I'm driven to do. Now, shadow self implies that there's a bad side of you. And there isn't. There's an animalistic side of you that's very primal. There's a part of you that is hurt, that is injured, that is looking for justice, that wants to express itself in very primal ways. It's not bad. It's just hungry. It's in need of something. So when we start talking about shadow work, a big chunk of the shadow work is soul retrieval or spirit retrieval. It's going in to those injured parts of us, those parts of us that are still, that don't know that stuff's over, going in, bringing that fragment home, giving it the love and the comfort and the healing that it needs to let it know it survived. And when that happens, the injured animal side of us, that's seeking justice, that's seeking revenge, that's seeking to be loved and needed and wanted and desired and accepted, that is going through all these different social, sometimes socially acceptable and sometimes socially not acceptable ways of getting those needs satisfied, it starts to calm down. And as we integrate things back into a unified mind and body, we start to see that part of us not as the enemy, but as a very powerful, primal, integral part of what we have to make our way in this world, right? So I don't like the term shadow self or shadow work, right? To me, it implies that there's an evil side to you, and yes, there are evil people in the world. Don't get me wrong, but most of us, not evil, amazingly selfish. And to some degree feeling hurt, betrayed, left out, abandoned, disregarded. That we're all that way. And we all have those things, but that doesn't make us, that's not evil. That's just a consequence of being a human in this reality, in this vibrational plane, right? And you can't heal from that. And that's part of your job. And as you heal, you qualify to help other people heal too, if that's something that you feel inspired to do. And one of the more gratifying things about this work is that as I watch my students come in and they start to heal and they start to change and they start transforming, and they came in only for themselves. And then all of a sudden some little switch gets flipped, and all of a sudden, wow, I think I want to do this for others. I think I want to help people too. Right? And it's the same thing that happened to me. When I got into this work, guys, I did not want to be a healer. It was not on my to-do list. I had no compassion to go out and just do this, hang out a shingle. as I healed and as I became more of the David I wanted to be, instead of the David that everybody and their brother was trying to program me to be. When I saw the lights go on and the heart open in other people, that gave me a feeling I can't describe. And there's nothing like it. Yeah, the money, I'll be honest with you. I do this for money, right? But I'll be honest with you. There is no feeling like watching somebody transform right in front of your eyes and knowing that you had a part in that. That God does the healing, but it came through you. That's a very transformational and very humbling experience. And it's one that fills you with a tremendous sense of purpose. You know, like your life actually means something, right? Now I'm speaking from my experience, but yeah, I'm on my pedestal today. So what other questions do you have that I can help you with? What do you guys want to focus on for part 3 of the webinar? Go ahead and type it in the chat. This is all for you. Come out of trance. Hello? Yeah, even more aviation says thank you. Okay, so ethics of hypnosis over a Zoom meeting. I recently heard Chase Hughes mention he is skeptical of hypnosis over a Zoom meeting. I love Chase. He's full of shit. Anyway, trust me, I hypnotize people over Zoom all the time, right? Anybody who's been in our virtual healing intensive knows I hypnotize people through Zoom all the time, right? It's more powerful in person for sure, right? But no, the ethics of Zoom, you're going to have to give me a little bit more background on that one. But Lottie says, I feel all warm and fuzzy with healing talk. I get it. Linda says, oh, yeah. Susan says, what percentage of the time do you think people are present in the moment? Very little. If you knew how much of a person's time was actually spent in their head, dissociated from the world, it would shock and disturb you. 5% sounds like a good time. Sounds like a good moment. Might even be less, but yeah, 5% is probably a good place. Yeah. Barbara, I was wondering about that too. What if the connection is disrupted? Okay, let's be careful with that. So when we, in our world, we can do just about, I would say 97% of all the techniques we do, we can do very effectively through Zoom. Now, let's make a distinction. Being able to do them through Zoom does not mean that you should do them through Zoom. Okay. In fact, one of the things that we're going to be experimenting with at the next Identity by Design is we're actually going to be teaching people how to do hypnosis through Zoom. Normally, we would just say you do it the same way you do it in hypnosis. We're actually going to have people practicing hypnosis on each other through Zoom. We already do that with people who are logging in virtually. But what I may actually do is have people in the room working through Zoom on people from their laptops on other people logging in through Zoom on their laptops somewhere else and just practicing that way. You can do it, yeah, as long as you vetted your clients and they're compliant and you have ways to test that they're following your instructions. There isn't much you can't get people to do through Zoom, right? But you do have to safeguard and inoculate against certain types of things happening. First of all, if I'm going to be dealing with someone who has a high potential for abreaction, then I will be very limited in the techniques that I will utilize through a Zoom panel. Okay. So for example, I have two systems of regression that we teach. You need Identity by Design to qualify for either of them. But regression is like if there's a nuke it from orbit, kill everything set of techniques, it's regression. Okay. But there are certain forms of regression, certain regressive techniques that you need to be in the room for, right? Because they're very provocative, they're very invasive, they're very abreactive. A lot of people aren't well trained enough to do them. So, and the last thing you want is somebody is trying to do that process and invoking a very powerful abreactive purging experience from someone 3,000 miles away. So there are certain things we will not do through Zoom ever. Can we do them? Yes. Should we do them? No. Right? When we feel that a client would best be served through that kind of an intervention, then we invite them to come into the clinic, or we go to them, where we can be in control of the environment, where we can make sure the safety of the client is handled. Because the last thing you want is guiding someone through an intricate hypnosis process and the power goes out or the connection drops, right? So a lot of times, one of the things you learn, some of the pattern that we use as we're doing the induction, we'll say, and as you're going deeper and deeper into relaxation, if at any time we should lose our internet connection, you'll simply continue with whatever process you're involved in. When you finish that process, you'll emerge from trance long enough to reestablish the internet connection, at which point you'll go back into trance twice as deep as the time before. Boom. Right now, what you've done is you've created a safety resource for them. You've given them instructions about what to do if the connection goes out. Now, if the connection does go out, they go through their process, they come out, they'll wait. When it seems like it's been too long, they'll naturally emerge from the process. They'll reestablish the connection. You'll reestablish, you'll put them back into trance, they'll go deeper, and you'll pick up with where you left off. It's very simple. I was doing this before, back on Skype, before Zoom was ever even heard of. So I've got all kinds of workarounds for this stuff. My students do too, right? So the idea of doing hypnosis through Zoom, not working, works great, right? I completely disagree. And again, I'm going with what you said, Chase said. So what he actually may have said versus what you're telling me he said may be different, but my experience is completely not bad. Right. And Chase has watched me hypnotize people. So, and we make sure that you have a high enough level of skill that you can do this. It's something we're very, very committed to. So us here says, oh, I've paid for package deals that include Identity by Design. When is it? This one will be, Moss, when is the next Identity by Design? It's the 13th through the 19th, or when is it? Mia, do you know? 24th through the 29th? Yeah, okay. So it's going to be March 24th through the 29th. Thank you, Mia. So if you have a VIP ticket, we do have some seats left for the live training. If you can't make it live, we've got a bunch of medical students coming in from virtual. So you're more than welcome to participate virtually, but you got to let Mia and Moss know so we can create the materials for you. Okay. All right. So before I move on, let me go ahead and just review. For those of you who have been on the fence, right? This is the package that we're offering. It's the Mastering Your Mind home study program. It's the Secrets of Personality Transformation and Manual, a $2,497 value. It's the Identity by Design Hypnotherapy home study course, $1,497 value. Hidden Laws of Attraction, Ultimate Manifestation home study course, $1,497 value. The Stealth CPI Universal Persuasion Protocol, that's your conversational hypnosis training. It's a $1,950 value. The Instant Conversational Belief Change course, $1,950 value. We're going to give all this to you free. You're also going to get the 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value, absolutely free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. We're going to give you that for free. And that special VIP, anything goes, free event, super ticket, your choice of any 3 events, of any one single event. You can do Identity by Design 5-day. You can do the face reading for fun and profit, 3-day boot camp. You can do the virtual healing intensive, which again is if you're just focused on fixing your own stuff, great value for you. It's a $2,497 value. And we're going to give it to you all. It's a $13,572 package. We're going to give it to you for 1 low installment of $797 or 3 easy installments of $397 each. Okay. Just go to nlppower.com/mind, nlppower.com/mind. And you can get your package, you can get your VIP ticket, and you can get a 5-day immersive transformational supercharger. This will take everything in your life to a whole other level. I guarantee it, or I will give you your money back. Okay. You have 60 days to test the technology, right? If it doesn't work for you, let us know. We'll refund it. If you're having a challenge, if you're having a question, pick up the phone, send us an email. We're here for you, right? Come to the masterminds. Let us help you through your sticking points. Everything about this program is designed to help you be successful, but I can't multiply zeros. If you don't click the link and get on the other side of this, I can't help you. So please do yourself a favor. Help me help you. Click your link, make your choice, break on through to the other side, to quote another song, right? And by all means, let's make things happen for you, okay? So go ahead and click that link, nlppower.com/mind. All right, what other questions do you have? So Heather's saying, oh my God, this is the first time joining your live. Haha, so exciting, enjoy your videos so much. Thank you, Heather. I'm glad you made it. Let's see here. So TIB is asking, is anything about marketing and getting a regular stream of clients? Yes. In fact, we have a whole coaching program. It's called the Influential Healer Mastery Coaching. And a big part of that is getting in front of people and doing exactly what I'm doing here with you right now, right? How do you find these people? How do you create content for them? How do you create an offer that is resonant with helping them get the transformation they want? How do you present it to people, right? I have clients who have spent a lot, who are coaches, who have spent a redonkulous amount of money going to coaches who are teaching coaches how to be coaches, but not teaching them how to go out and get clients. And it's very frustrating for them because they're buying apples and they're getting oranges. And so I can't speak to every single method of getting clients that's out there. What I teach my clients is the way I did things that I know works, that still works today. Okay. And I guide you through those processes, right? Why? Because you don't do me any good if you're not out there professionally making money doing this or using these materials. If it's not helping your life and moving your life forward, if you're not transforming people, I'm not succeeding. My job is to teach the teachers, right? So I have to do everything in my power to give you the tools to go out, get in front of people and transfer and convert them into people that you can help. Okay. I'm not the world's biggest expert on anything in that regard. I have a pretty good track record of success. And so I share what I know. Right. And I will tell you from my perspective, what I think is BS and what isn't. And there's a lot of it out there. Right. How many people are familiar with a piece of American history called the Gold Rush? Just type in the chat if you're familiar with that time or you've heard of it. Okay. Richard says, I do it by setting up a tent at Renaissance. Perfect. I love that. I absolutely love that. All right. How many people know what the Gold Rush was? Go ahead. Just type it in the chat. I know this is David, just kind of, it's like a fireside chat with David. I thought we were going to do change work and here we are just Q&A, but are you guys getting value out of this? Is this helping you? Okay. So you all know that during the gold rush, tens of thousands of people stampeded to California in the search for gold. And a lot of people found gold. And you know what? A lot more people didn't. And millions were made during the gold rush. And a tiny, tiny percentage of those millions that were made came from gold. You know where the other millions and millions and millions of dollars came from? Guess. The people selling the picks and the shovels. And that's the trap. That's the trap, guys. When you're a coach, when you want to put your shingle out there and be a coach, there's a lot of people out there selling you the picks and the shovels, but not how to find the gold. And so you have to have enough wherewithal to know what's a shovel, what's gold, and where's a mine, right? And a lot of people, they don't spend the time to really niche down and do what I call the grunt work that makes the work. And that's identifying who your client is, identifying where they hang out, what their parallel interests are, what their pain points are, how do they describe that pain, where do they go to solve those pains, who are your competitors in that niche that are doing things that are working, what are the programs that people are responding to. They don't do a lot of that work, right? It's tedious and it's necessary. Until you know who you are, you've established your brand, you have, 11 plus years of YouTube content behind you that's just fueling that, right? You have to start the same thing day after day after day. People are going to try and sell you the idea of a home run or a touchdown, when what you're probably going to wind up with is a base hit and a bunch of strikes first, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that, right? But it's just being in business for yourself. I tell my clients and I tell my students, especially my students I all want to be out there. And I've got some very successful students. I'm very proud. Back during COVID, no less than 7 of my students were actually presenters at HypnoThoughts Live Hypnosis Convention. I had the proudest Papa moment ever, because my students, the people I taught, were out there teaching other people. Right? That's my goal. I'm all about scale. I'm just one dude. I can't change everybody, but I can change other people so they can go out and change other people, and they can go out and change other people. And that's one of the reasons that I do this. I want everybody in the world using these techniques to change their life and make their lives better. But I can only work one person at a time. And that's why I'm working with you. Right? So again, I'm having a pedestal moment. Maybe it's because I haven't had a live webinar in forever, so I'm just running off at the mouth. But what other questions do you have? So Mechanic Mick says, why do we yawn when thinking of certain things? Yawning is always a sign of unconscious processing. When you're a hypnotist and you start guiding people into trance, you will see all kinds of crazy physical expressions that indicate the unconscious mind, the autonomic nervous system, is actually processing stuff. And again, this is one of my, you'll find out, as loving as I try to be, as open as I try to be, I am an opinionated motherfucker. I mean, I'm a trainer. It's what I do. And so I'm looking for the best of the best. And there are so many things that are left out of our training as a hypnotist, as a neurolinguistic programmer, as a body worker, as an energy healer, that if you just had those things in the right sequence, everything would get easier, right? But one of the things that happens with hypnotists is they don't prepare you for what going into trance looks like in the real world. What do I mean by that? One of the most common things that happens with fledgling hypnotists is that as the person's going into trance, they start laughing. The subject starts laughing. And the hypnotist, it completely throws the hypnotist off their game, because they don't understand that laughter is a sign of releasing tension. It's a sign of unconscious processing. And so they think they've screwed up. They think they've done something wrong, and it completely wrecks their state control until they realize that people laughing as they go into trance is just a release. It's just a defense mechanism. Just keep going and utilize it, right? The same thing with yawning. A lot of times when you get people in the chair and you start running them through processes, but by a show of hands, how many people were here? How many people were on here when I ran you through the framing process or the emotional bonding process? How many people were online when I did that? Just real quick. Okay. How many of you started to spontaneously yawn? Or maybe clear your throat? Look at the chat. Oh, you guys can't see this maybe in YouTube, but I've got at least 3 or 4 people in the Zoom room who were yawning when that was going on. Agnes says, I was yawning. It's a very common thing. When you see that, whether you're an energy worker, a massage therapist, talk therapist, hypnotherapist, when you see yawning, you're winning. Encourage it, because the more they yawn, the more processing, venting, and releasing they're doing. It's a good thing. Okay? They didn't teach me that in hypnosis class. I was very fortunate to have a great teacher in DNA theta healing named Marina Rose, who taught me that. I taught her hypnosis, which was a trade, but she gave me some great insights into how people process, right? There are certain things that are left out or glossed over in our training that's supposed to prepare us for the real world that they don't do. That's why we call what we do real world hypnosis. We're going to do an NLP certification in May. How many people would like to be certified in NLP from me? Would anybody here like that? Okay. If you're interested in getting certified in NLP from me, there's two things. A, you got to pass identity by design. Nobody gets into my NLP training until you're an awesome hypnotist. Because once you're an awesome hypnotist, you can rock anything NLP does. The second thing is you got to let Moss know you want to come. So when you click the link or you talk to Moss or Mia, make sure you mention that you want to be put on the advanced notice list for the NLP certification. I haven't done an NLP certification, practitioner certification, in 3 years. It's the last time I did one. All right. So am I ever in Jacksonville? Not if I can help it, Ivy. I spent a year one night in Jacksonville. G says, how does somebody reject a suggestion? Can they reject suggestion even after they've accepted it? Generally speaking, once a person's accepted a suggestion, they usually forget they accepted the suggestion. But if someone accepts a suggestion or a suggestion goes in and it gets snagged by the unconscious, it can become a recurring thought, and then it can cause a problem because now you're creating parts. But the short answer is you can reject any suggestion. The question is, do you have the technique to do that? Right? Most people reject suggestions when they conflict with their values, or they're not in a deep enough state of rapport and understand what the suggestion is meant to do. The biggest challenge we have with acceptance and rejection of suggestion is interpretation. Many times how a subject interprets a suggestion is radically different from the way we intended it, but the wording skews it in a certain way. So the long and short of it is you can accept or reject any suggestion you're given, provided you have the consciousness to do it. Okay. Us here says, me. Yeah. Lottie says, yes, but years off. Us here says, we see a lot in Reiki. People sigh a lot. They laugh, they cry. Yes, very common. You can't do Reiki without trance. That's why if you're a Reiki practitioner, you want to be good at conversational hypnosis. Because when you start channeling energy into someone, they become hyper suggestible. Their system is very, very pliable. And if you have the suggestion skills, you can amplify and accelerate the transformation work that you're doing in your Reiki class. Okay. Also, because you understand the power of language, you can make sure you don't inadvertently say something that gets, like G's talking about, a suggestion that they have to reject. Remember that when people come off that Reiki table, any energy healing system, they're super suggestible. Their energy field is charged. All of their centers are wide open. And because you are the authority figure, you are the dominant person in that environment with a client who's hyper responsive to you. If you don't understand the power of your language, you can actually, Moss put it, the term is called clinical hexing from a shamanic perspective. Some people call it white coat hypnosis. Some people call it white coat syndrome. You can actually install things in people that completely derail the good work you did. Okay. All right. Is this what you guys want, just to Q&A with me? I'm good with it. Okay. All right. So again, just because I have you here and I'm going to answer questions, once again, remember that when I log off tonight's webinar, all the good stuff goes away, right? All the fast action bonuses. So if you haven't clicked that link yet, for those of you in the Zoom room, the The link is https://www.nlppower.com/mind. And Mia's way ahead of me. I'm just not fast enough on the keyboard. Shane Word says, now getting into this world of David. Excellent. Freedom State says, what is your favorite aspect of hypnosis and behavior engineering? What is my favorite aspect? God, there's so many. Honestly, I kind of love it all. But to me, watching the lights come on, just whether it's an influence training, whether it's a hypnotherapy class, whether it's a hypnotherapy session or the transformation session, what we do is so integrative. It's hard to just call it. It's hard to use the word hypnotherapy with a straight face because it's so much more, and yet it isn't. But watching the lights come on, watching people see the world through a perspective or an ideology that is more of who they wanted to be, and watching the chains just drop off, that makes it all worthwhile. Don't get me wrong, the money's, when you go through the steps and do the work to build your tribe, and you have people who are excited about the things that you offer, and the money starts coming in, that's a great bonus, right? But at the end of the day, aside from your bank account, what has changed in the world as a result of what you did? What's the legacy, right? How have people's lives benefited from you having lived? There's a poem I think it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it's about success, what it means to have succeeded. And I've lived my life by that. I never, this is the first time I really ever talked about it. I thought about maybe putting up the slide with the poem on it from time to time, but I've never really done it. But to know that one life has breathed easier because of you, because you lived, to me, I think that's the greatest thing, right? And to know that I was put here to do that, and to be able to empower other people to do it is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. So let me see here. Aspects being whatever you want to. Okay. Heather says, hi, this is cool. Where can I join physical classes if offered? I'm in Chicago right now. So right now, Heather, our next class, most of our classes until July will be here in San Diego. If you call Moss at 858-282-4663 or email Mia at nlppower.com, they'll give you the logistical information. This next training, the 24th through the 29th, will be at the Country Inn and Suites, 5975 Lusk Boulevard, San Diego. And we invite as many of you as that can make it to attend in person. If you can't attend in person, then do the live, be part of the Planet David Army, so to speak, and really just start leveling up, right? Because again, we're a very small group right now, and the people in that group are amazingly powerful. But you're meant to be part of that to whatever degree that you're comfortable with, right? And so we want you to have these tools. We want you to have these experiences. I'm in a pretty interesting position because I watch who people are when they come in to Planet David. And 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later, I see who they've become. And there are no words. There are no words to describe how beautiful and amazing that is for the people who do the work. For every one person that does the work, there's going to be 3 or 4 that are just tourists. And that's okay, because they got what they needed on their walk. And eventually those things that they will use will bear fruit for them, and then they'll be ready for more. If you want these tools, Shane, it's really simple. All you got to do is click the link, go to http://www.nlppower.com/mind. I'm just gonna cut and paste a link so I always have it. / Hopefully. And again, Mia beat me, but I'm going to paste it anyway, damn it. All right. Anyway, so yeah, to me, and again, like I said, it doesn't matter to me whether that person is an influence student, behavior student, NLP student, hypnotherapy, energy. I don't care. What I care about is watching the change and knowing that I did what I came here to do. Right. And there's no feeling to describe it. So, what other questions do you have? Okay. Shane says, I bought the Boxing Day special. Awesome. Welcome aboard, Shane. All right. What other questions do you got? I got a few more minutes and then we're going to run. All right. Well, if that's the case, first of all, I want to say thank you for staying with us. Thank you for hanging out. Hopefully you got some value from this. You got some tools and some principles that you can begin to use to take your life to the next level, right? It's not necessary for you to believe a damn thing that I said to you today, that I taught you today. All you have to do is do it. It either is going to work for you or it's not, right? Watch as many videos on our channel as you can. Apply them to your life. That's what we're here for, right? I love you all. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do this way. I'm learning new Zoom tricks. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, good night, God bless. If you're ready, click those links. I'll see you on the other side. I love you all. Remember the fast action, but when I click off the link tonight, these bonuses go away. The fast action, nlppower.com/mind. Good night. God bless. And as Father Guido Sarducci would say, if I remember correctly, arrivederci, America.